misses by guys, but it should be a good one.
BYU coach Kevin Young says they've been simplifying their defense because they know Texas likes to run up and down the court. Tonight's game, it tips at 5:25. We start our pregame coverage here on KSL News Radio at 4:30. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour, the Pentagon says the U.S. is crippling Iran's military capabilities. General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, says the U.S. military is targeting Iran's Navy and has been using assets that can hunt down Iranian vessels in the Strait of Hormuz.
They came into this fight with a lot of weapons. This is why we continue to be as aggressive and assertive as we can against their ballistic missile capability, both their medium-range ballistic missile capability and their short-range missile capabilities.
This comes as Iran has attacked energy infrastructure across the Mideast. Your money at this moment, the Dow right now down 365 points. That's 0.8%. We're at 45,870. KSL Bracket Update every 15 minutes, brought to you by the Stern Team Omada. Here is Jason Jones.
Well, and as we've been talking about all morning long, it is the start of another NCAA bracket season. How does your bracket look now? Well, mine looks fantastic, just like yours. However, that will be changed by the end of the day, I'm sure. BYU does have their first game today. Neither BYU nor Texas can stop the other team from scoring, but they both like to score, so it should be a pretty good game. With your KSL Bracket Update, I'm Jason Jones.
Follow NCAA tournament updates and all other sports updates on KSLSports.com. Coming up, we will take a look at the weather forecast. It looks like we're going to have 81 degrees for a high today and lots of sunshine. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Doug Wright here with Monty at Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer. Monty, give it to me straight. Why is Connecticut the premium choice over those standard electric softeners?
Doug, it comes down to this. Do you want an appliance you have to babysit? Standard water softeners have microprocessors and computers that need setting and adjustment. And they use a lot more salt. So you get to haul 40-pound bags of salt down to your basement every month or so.
And Connecticut?
Zero electricity, zero timers to reset, zero downtime, and uses 70% less salt. It's a higher standard of engineering that completely removes the hassle of owning a water softener.
That's what I love about my Connecticut. Dee and I never have to even think about it. We occasionally add a bag of salt and it just works, and I've never had to set or adjust anything. Do what I did and get the one that just works. Find out how soft your water could be at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. And here's Cormac Bone.
Well, we do still have this crash westbound I-80 at the summit, and they are closing the left lane, although it looks like they're working to open it right now. Excuse me, that's the right lane that they have closed. Delays are heavy and reaching back toward the golf course. And if you're on southbound I-15 coming from Davis County, you're going to see a small crash in the right shoulder near Parrish Lane. Those delays are light, but still there and stretching back toward where the West Davis Highway merges. And then in Salt Lake County, we do still have some leftover I-15 delays southbound near Warm Springs Road and 600 North, and northbound approaching Bangerter Highway after the point of the mountain. Replenish Landscape Garden Products provides the highest quality compost and soil blends for your lawns and gardens. Start your season right with Replenish. Visit replenishcompost.com. Replenish, it's good stuff. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
It'll be another hot day today with highs at 81 degrees. The sun will be out, so get ready to feel the heat. Even warmer tomorrow, up to 83. Right now, it's 55 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Inside Sources. Holly, I have to start the morning with a question for you, and that is, when was the last time you filled up your car with gas?
This morning at 5:30.
Okay, because it seems like every day
I know
it changes, and it goes up almost every single day.
I think it has gone up. In fact, I think it's up like a dime from yesterday. So I paid $3.89 this morning to fill up my car, and last week when I filled up, I think it was $3.69, so 20 cents less ish. And last month, of course, it was just under $3 a gallon. So,
yeah,
we're feeling it.
Yeah, every day. So AAA says that it was average price today is $3.84. Yesterday, $3.71. So 13 cents in one day. A week ago, $3.46. So it's gone up almost 40 cents in a week.
That's wild.
Wow. And now we're hearing that the Fed has decided to hold interest rates at that 3.5, 3.75 rate. And inflation is not where they want it to be, which is close to 2%.
It was higher than they thought.
A bit higher, not terribly high, but higher than what most economists want.
Well, speaking of economists, we have with us Michael Kofed. He's an assistant professor of economics at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. He's a research fellow at the Institute of Labor Economics, and he'd like to join our show and talk to us about K-shaped economies and other stuff. Hi,
good
Michael.
Morning. Yeah, good morning, Holly and Greg. It's good to be with you again.
Likewise.
So what is going on right now with the economy? Because it feels a little iffy.
Yeah, so let me just, I'll swap my macroeconomics hat for my defense economist hat really quick. So what's going on here is there are countries in the world that maybe wouldn't be able to compete with us with ground troops or airframe, but they have something we call in defense economics a choke point. And a choke point would mean that they have a place that they could have strategic value that could put a lot of pain on a superpower like the United States. And one of those choke points is what's called the Straits of Hormuz. And that's where it's like a corner where Saudi Arabia, where a lot of our oil comes from, has a really tiny waterway that also borders with Iran. And since the Iranian war had started, Iran has threatened and tried to close the Strait of Hormuz. And that is where 20% of the world's oil supply flows through. And once you cut off 20% of supply, you will see a dramatic increase in the price of oil and thus gasoline.
So what I don't understand, Michael, is this, and I understand there's a global price, but if the United States of America is producing a huge percentage of its own oil and now getting another block from Venezuela, we don't rely on the Strait of Hormuz. Maybe we do a little bit, but is our gas prices, oil prices, I should say, just set by some international global standard? And so even though you may be, getting your own oil, you still have to pay that same amount? I don't know if I'm making any sense here.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So just because we don't for example, we've never purchased Iranian oil since the 1970s. But the problem is when you cut off that much supply, all the other countries in the world that maybe did, like India and China and East Asia, they now are competing for the exact same oil that we usually get from. So they're going to come in and bid up even oil from the United States that the United States produces. And that's why these kind of choke points really can cause a lot of economic harm, even to countries like the United States that in recent times has switched to becoming an oil exporting country.
So, Michael, you used a term that I actually have never heard before, and that's defense economics. So I think I understand what you're saying here, specifically with what's going on with the conflict in Iran. But is there more to it than just oil?
So part of it is oil. A lot of it is also uncertainty. And so oil is a very unique one because it is also an input to a lot of other things that we produce in the economy. And so while the price of gas goes up, and you and I feel that pain when we jump in the car and go to Maverick and pump our gas, but it also is going to go up for those who do manufacturing, those who make plastics, all sorts of other things. And so that's going to cause prices of lots of goods to start to rise accordingly. But since it's a price increase, that's also going to, an input price increase, that's also going to force factories to look at perhaps laying off folks and shut down some of their production. And that then puts the Federal Reserve in a really awkward spot because traditionally it's doing a trade-off between inflation and unemployment, and now it gets both as opposed to one or the other.
So what does it mean for us consumers when we learn that the Fed did hold interest rates the same yesterday, even though there's tremendous pressure from the administration to start reducing them? And they're not horrific. It's like in the 3.5 to 3.75%. But why aren't they coming down?
Yeah, that's a great question. The reason why is because the Fed now has to choose between, does it want to increase labor demand and thus have the unemployment rate go down, or does it want to have prices come down? And normally the Fed has a 2% target for inflation. And right now we are pushing up into the high 2s, possibly even the 3 ranges, because this spike in oil was not accounted for in the last inflation numbers. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but that actually is a huge amount of miss. That's a 50% increase over target. That would be like if I went to a Vols versus Alabama football game and I spiked the ball on the 50-yard line and called it a touchdown. We still have a long ways to go, and that is going to compound with higher prices for everybody over the long run. So holding interest rates constant is the Fed saying we are more nervous right now about inflation spiking than unemployment spiking, so we're going to try to smother the inflation.
So really quickly, gosh, this goes so fast. So I'm seeing that even one of the impacts that we're seeing in Utah already is that fertilizer comes through the Strait of Hormuz, and Utah farmers need that fertilizer, and they're not able to get it, at least not on any kind of reasonably priced basis. What can we as consumers do to save on anything? Is there anything we can do, or just tighten our belts?
Yeah, I mean, fertilizer is an interesting product. It's a phosphate byproduct from actual oil and different things. And so since that's being cut off by the Straits of Hormuz as well, farmers can't get the fertilizer they need to start their crops. And they're getting also slammed on the other side because of the trade wars. Foreigners are no longer buying their agricultural goods. So they're getting hit by the consumer side and the input side. Reality, what we can do right now is probably tighten our belts. The Trump administration is at a crosspath on a national security-wise, policy-wise. They could choose to maybe take an off-ramp right now and say, hey, we destroyed some key targets. We took out the Ayatollah, mission accomplished, we're done, go home. Or what they could do is escalate and put ground troops in. If they choose to put ground troops in, then buckle up because we're going to be there for much longer than anyone thinks.
All right. Thanks so much. That was Michael Kofed. And, you know, last night, Greg, there was a big protest outside the iSound warehouse in Salt Lake City. We're going to talk about that. But first, it's time for a KSL bracket update. Every 15 minutes, brought to you by the Sturm team of Omada Real Estate. Here's Jason Jones live from the KSL 24-hour News Center.
So my daughter's bracket has a championship game of Penn against Hofstra, with Penn winning the championship. Now that would be the ultimate game if it actually happened. Sadly for her, I don't think it will, but you never know. Things are crazy when it comes to the NCAA tournament. BYU, not the only amazing 11-6 game today that I'm looking forward to. There's a couple of good other good, intriguing ones that are 11-6 matchups. South Florida and Louisville is going to come your way a little bit later on today. And also, we're going to be looking at VCU against North Carolina. Those are some intriguing 11-6 matchups that we're looking at. NCAA tournament tips off just after 10 o'clock. With your KSL bracket update, I'm Jason Jones.
Amanda, I've got a cruise planned in a couple of months, and I was thinking about the other people who may have cruises planned coming up a few months from now, and why right now would be the best time for them to begin their weight loss journey on Soda Weight Loss.
If you started right now, you could lose 20, 30, 40 pounds before June.
That's right.
I lost 37 pounds in 3 months, 3.5 years ago. And the beauty about Soda is it's not a quick fix. This is learning that is going to last you the rest of your life and help you be healthy.
Your clothes fit better. Your energy comes back. You don't get winded going upstairs.
Yeah.
Things that maybe you don't even realize. When I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, it felt like a transformation.
You learn what works for your body so you don't get addicted to shots or drugs. You just work with a nutritionist who's going to teach you how to keep the weight off for a lifetime.
Right now, you should go check out sodaweightloss.com, see all the thousands of before and after pictures, or speak with a nutritionist by giving a call 866-800-SODA.
Soda Weight Loss. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You thought your health insurance was affordable until the government took back the money they gave you. Ha ha ha. Did your accountant show you what you actually paid after the subsidy was reconciled? That help for many turned into a huge tax bill. And if your agent didn't tell you about what's happening for this 2026, you're in for a rude awakening next year because everything changed. Before you roll the dice into another year hoping it all works out, My Freedom of Choice plan gets you an affordable savings of 30 to 60% on premiums, gold level coverage, and no out-of-pocket outpatient deductible, and national network so you can go anywhere in the U.S. At My Policy Quote, I'll walk you through options that don't come with tax penalties. If you pay your own health insurance on COBRA, uninsured, or employer plan is just too much, call me, Mike, today. 385-367-6779. Again, that's 385-367-6779. Or visit mypolicyquote.com. That's mypolicyquote.com to get started now.
Meet Morgan Jones. Morgan is about to step into a world unknown to most, thanks to Progressive's Renters Insurance, a place of fresh linens and turn-down service. You see, Morgan temporarily vacated her apartment and has gone to a hotel because a pipe burst in her apartment. A pipe that made her sense of reality and apartment ceiling all come crashing down. Luckily, Morgan checked into Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers.
Jackson Hewitt will do your taxes for $149 or less, no matter how complicated. So if you're a delivery driver / handyman / wedding DJ, you pay only $149 or less. We're talking to you, waitress.
Check, please.
/ pet sitter / influencer. Just $149 or less. Want your refund to work as hard as you? Hurry. Don't wait. File with Jackson Hewitt today. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Join Mike Stevens of Capital Wealth Advisors for Retire Right Radio, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. That's Retire Right Radio with Mike Stevens, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m.
Inside Sources.
There is growing intrigue about the purchase that seems to have occurred when Department of Homeland Security bought a building in Salt Lake City, 833,000 square foot warehouse for $145.4 million, purportedly, and we don't know the exact details, to build a holding facility which would hold up to 7,500 detainees, because we don't have a place here in Utah to hold detainees, certainly not 7,500. And I've talked to several immigration attorneys, and they said if it's going to hold 7,500, then it's a multi-state detention facility.
Well, sure, that's clear, and I think ICE did confirm that they intend for it to be a detention facility, but there's a lot of concerns about it. And last night there was a protest. More than 500 people came out. KSL TV's Garner Mejia was there. Many were there to say ICE out and that an ICE facility doesn't support Utah values.
Hundreds gathered to protest the Department of Homeland Security's $145 million purchase of this warehouse.
I was shocked.
Our president said that they would take the criminals, and that's not what we have seen.
The warehouse sitting on a 24.9 acre parcel located in an industrial area near a UPS hub on Salt Lake City's west side.
Why do they need massive storage facilities for people, especially in a warehouse that's not designed to house people?
ICE recently confirmed it is actively working to expand detention space, saying, quote, "It will be a very well-structured detention facility, but providing few other details." Recent efforts in towns like Social Circle, Georgia, where ICE also purchased a large facility, revealing the agency's plan for an ICE detention reengineering initiative that calls for 8 large-scale detention centers across the country, each with a capacity of housing 7,000 to 10,000 people. Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson's office says our region has been identified for one of these ICE mega centers.
I'm really disappointed in our state. I cannot stand for there to be a concentration camp in my state.
Also tonight, dramatic moments as a protest started winding down, a confrontation in front of the warehouse, graffiti on a wall, with trespassing protesters eventually being pushed back by police.
Wow. I mean, Jenny Wilson describes it as a concentration camp.
Yeah.
And, one of the people that they interviewed said this, which is what I've thought about as much as anything else, which is that building was never designed to house people. It's a warehouse.
Right.
And if you think about the infrastructure in a warehouse, what do you maybe have two or three restrooms?
You don't have water. You don't have sewer.
Right.
You don't have cooking facilities.
Right. I mean, so what are they going to do? Put up a bunch of tents? And I think that's what they are going to do, is put up some sort of an indoor tent community.
I think what you saw in Florida at Alligator Alcatraz was basically chain link fencing, right, and putting people inside there. So, look, I want to tell you a couple of other things from the protesters, but I also then want to talk about Mayor Wilson and Mayor Mendenhall and some of their recent statements. So last night, there were a number of people from a variety of different backgrounds, but there was a reverend from the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City, Reverend Monica Dobbins. She said that the detention center reminds her of Utah's history as the site of the Topaz internment camp during World War II. And remember, yesterday is the anniversary of when FDR signed that executive order. But she said they're going to create Topaz 2.0. And then I just want to point this out. So we mentioned already lack of infrastructure. There's lots of stuff going on there. But Mayor Jenny Wilson, who's mayor of Salt Lake County, she wrote an opinion piece published in the Deseret News yesterday, and she points this out. So we just heard anticipating maybe housing up to 7,500 people, really, really a lot. So she says this: the entire Salt Lake County jail averages just under 2,000 inmates on any given day, and across the state, the Utah prison system houses roughly 6,500 incarcerated individuals. But the proposed ICE detention facility would hold 7,500 detainees, more people than the entire Utah state prison population, and nearly 4 times the size of our county jail system.
Yeah, it's almost more than the two combined.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. the dynamics of this. Salt Lake City Mayor Mendenhall, Salt Lake County Mayor Wilson, strongly against it, speaking out against it, being active. The administration, of course, Department of Homeland Security, are the ones that apparently purchased it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we heard from Mayor Wilson just a minute ago that she said, "I'm disappointed with our state." What was the, if you know, because we're talking about municipalities, the federal government, what was the state's involvement in this?
I don't know that there was one, and I think
maybe that's the problem.
That's exactly right. So Mayor Mendenhall has also sent a letter to ICE, and that one I can see at the Salt Lake Tribune, the letter. But she said, we weren't involved in any of these things. We weren't involved in the discussions. We were involved in conversations. I would like to meet with you as early as possible to talk about this. Senator John Curtis has weighed in right after, I think, the news broke that ICE had purchased this facility. And he said, it's problematic. I'm paraphrasing, but he said it's problematic that they didn't talk to anybody in the state before they did this.
Right. Yeah. He was concerned that they didn't have local input in making this
Yeah.
decision. In fact, I don't know that it would have gone any differently, but local input would have been against it, or at least saying, hey, wait a minute, let's take a hard look at this.
So there's all kinds of questions, right? And we heard in Garna's report about, Circle City, whatever it was, in Georgia. It's a really interesting name.
Oh, right.
But what they did there is their town said, until you can come talk to us about what you're doing here and how you plan to move forward, we're cutting off water access, we're cutting off sewer, and we're cutting off electricity. Because it's a big warehouse not meant to house people.
And another thing that happened that's really disconcerting is that the purchase has occurred apparently, and
it's done. It's a done deal.
$145 million. So
Yeah.
that ship has sailed. The building has been purchased. It's been purchased by the Department of Homeland Security. There would probably no other reason that they would have it, or you can't do much with it now except sell it back someday. And it's their infrastructure, the retrofitting of this thing is going to take years.
Well, that's what I think, right?
Like, how are they going to?
I don't know. But look, I do have this. This is from Building Salt Lake. It's actually a website, buildingsaltlake.com. And the author here, Jacob Scholl, he says this. He says, ICE agreed to pay $145 million to buy the vacant warehouse. It is significantly more than what was listed as the estimated value, the assessed value.
That's another thing I thought about. These owners must have died and gone to heaven.
It was listed at $97 million, and so the government paid like $48 million more than the assessed value.
Which makes no sense. I mean, why would they do that? Why would you overpay for something that you're going to have problems with anyway?
I don't know. And one of the issues, so both Mayor Mendenhall and Mayor Wilson saying, look, so not only do we not have the infrastructure out there, it's actually part of the inland port area. So it's a hub for commerce and transportation. You've got rail lines. You've got, of course, shipping, highway lines, highway transportation. And it's just plopped right out there. And in fact, the inland port just had a meeting, and they were asked publicly on the record, did you know anything about this? And they said no.
Yeah.
Right. And then they didn't have any further comment.
Homeland Security has for long said we don't have enough room to house inmates. And what's happening is you start the deportation process. People are released on their own recognizance, and they don't show up in court. So they've said the better way to solve that is to hold them all. Of course, the attorney in me says the whole due process problem. But
there is a due process
right,
problem.
So they're saying, well, if we have to hold them so that by the time they get to their deportation or their hearings, we know where they are, rather than just go try to find them at their home and bring them to court. So I can't understand the reason they wanted this. The way they went about it seems to be really problematic.
Well, and again, this will continue to unfold, but I think the fundamental question is, how could you possibly have that facility ready to house 7,500 people before the next administration?
Yeah, that's the problem, because if you get a Democratic administration, they may not want to do that. Well, we'll see. We're dealing with record temperatures, and they're only going to get worse, it seems like. So I think a lot of people in Utah are rightly concerned about water. So you have to ask yourself, how far are people willing to go to conserve this year? Would you be willing to not flush your toilet as often or make other sacrifices to save water? Text us at 57500. Tell us what you think you can do to save water. We'll be polling most efficient ways to save water after the break.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, it will be another record-breaking warm day. KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson has more.
Folks, we broke records yesterday, more coming today. Alta hit a high of 60 degrees, broke the old record of 56 back in 2017. Lake Town, Utah, 72, that was a record. Altamont, out in the Uinta Basin, 77. Salt Lake City hit 79, that tied a record for the date. St. George hit 90, that was 1 degree shy of the all-time March high, and that broke a daily record. Into Provo on BYU campus, that gauge breaking a record at 82. Cedar City 81, tying the all-time record high for them. All-time record high for March, also tied in Fillmore. Kanab 86. The list goes on, folks.
Matt says get ready for more record highs today and tomorrow. Homeless advocates say despite the warm weather, the population still needs help. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla.
It's not absolutely freezing, but it can still get cold, and Utah's homeless shelters still have a high demand. The William A. Bernard Warming Center in Logan tells KSL they've seen a demand for shelter beds since November, and they've hit capacity multiple times already. Unlike some other warming centers, this one is open 7 nights a week, not just when code blues are enacted. They provide a warm meal to visitors as well, prompting other issues like food scarcity. The center says they still need food donations so they can keep feeding those visitors. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 336 points right now. We're at 45,888. The KSL Bracket Update every 15 minutes brought to you by the Stern Team Omada. Here's Jason Jones.
Just about 45 minutes away from the start of the madness, we tip off with TCU against Ohio State from the East region. That's a 9-8 matchup. As you know, those are usually kind of a toss-up 50-50 game. Coming your way a little bit later is going to be South Florida Louisville. That's an intriguing 11-6 matchup there. And also Wisconsin High Point. That's a 12-5. And as you know, we never go an NCAA tournament without a 12-5 upset. Could this be the first one? With your KSL Bracket Update, I'm Jason Jones.
Follow NCAA tournament updates and all other sports updates on KSLSports.com. And coming up, we'll get a look at these record-breaking warm temperatures today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
It's time for March Window Mania. From Advanced Window Products, bounce on over to your phone and they'll give you $2,500 off your quote on 10 windows or more. Get the Home Court Advantage. They'll build your windows right here in Salt Lake City, custom for Utah's climate, and you save because they sell direct to the public, no middleman. It's a new season. Spring is here, and when it comes to state-of-the-art custom windows and insulated frames, Advanced Windows is top-seeded, so put them at the top of your bracket and make the call 801-850-9100. You'll get $2,500 off from the family-owned champion since 1986. For 40 years, they've been building and installing replacement windows. Don't wait for the draft to come seeping through your old windows. They'll save you a ton of money on your energy bill, and Advanced offers financing as low as $150 a month. It's the March Window Mania special. Quick, before the buzzer, make the call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or visit advancedwindows.com.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. Let's talk conventional versus FHA loans. Both offer cash-out refinances up to 80% loan-to-value or LTV, so which is best for you? It's kind of like Uber and Lyft. I always compare the two before booking a ride. Conventional loans don't have mortgage insurance under 80% LTV. However, the rates and costs get higher with lower credit scores, cash-out, and high LTVs. FHA loans always have mortgage insurance, but the rates are lower, they don't penalize you for cash out and high LTV loans, and they allow for higher debt-to-income ratios. FHA often results in lower payment even with mortgage insurance. We can analyze your situation within minutes. Call us today. Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494, or on the web at finkmcgregor.com. NMLS 289115.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror, I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because,
That is something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
Amanda, I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, ANDcollar.com. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. And here's Cormac Bone.
We do still have this crash westbound I-80 at the peak in Parley Summit. They are blocking the right shoulder. Delays, though, have cleared out. You should be able to get by them just fine, but do give them the space as they try and work on that cleanup. We do have a new crash southbound I-15. It looks like it's at the on-ramp to southbound I-15 at University Parkway in Orem. They're also blocking a right shoulder. That car is off the road. So, again, give them the space and be kind as they try and work out on that crash. But all the delays really have pretty much cleared out across the Wasatch Front. You just have the light leftover eastbound delays in construction in Lehigh on both Pioneer Crossing and 2100 North as you try to get onto I-15. Use Superior Water and Air for all your HVAC and water treatment needs. Call 974-9090 or visit SuperiorWaterandAir.com. Superior Water and Air. We got this. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Another hot day in store today. We could break a record, 81 degrees, lots of sunshine, 83 tomorrow, 82 on Saturday before we lose 10 degrees on Sunday. We'll be around 70 on Sunday. Right now it's 59 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, it's hot outside, and it's only going to get hotter, but we are going to have record high temperatures for the month of March this week, if we haven't already, maybe today, because we've never exceeded 80 in the month of March.
I know.
And we're going to. I saw something this morning that Arizona is going to set an April record. They're going to exceed in March. They're going to exceed the April heat record this week. We also had a very poor water year, and we didn't get a lot of water. The snowpack was really at an all-time low, so it's really a problem. So anyway, Deseret News Hinckley Institute of Politics did some polling and asked Utahns, what are you willing to do? What would you do to change your water habits?
Or not do.
Right.
Right. And so it's really interesting, and we did put it out to our listeners. You can text us still, 57500, what you're willing to do to conserve water. I think when we talked with the water expert earlier this week, they were saying maybe we're looking at a 25% decrease. But here's, I have to say the most common answer so far is they are willing to not flush their toilet as often. And there's a little jingle.
I don't like it, but go ahead.
If it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down.
Okay.
And I'm saying that there's like multiple texters and people on Facebook who are like, they know this little jingle. So I don't know if I'm willing to go there, because to me that makes it sound like that's the boys' bathroom and I don't want to go in there.
Yeah. Well, the easy thing for me, and we've got an expert here in just a minute, is the first thing we do is quit watering our lawn, or at least dial it back significantly. Right. There's a lot of water that goes into that. Mm-hmm. In terms of taking shorter showers, you should be doing that anyway. Flushing the toilet less frequently, I don't think I'm quite ready to go there.
So let's talk about that. So 59% of Utahns agree that they should water their lawn less to save water, or they have already done that. 44% take shorter showers. And I don't even know how to time it. Like, I feel like all my showers are short. 23% of respondents say that they flush the toilet less frequently. 47% say they wash their car less frequently. And 21% say they have not changed their behavior at all.
I think that's what a lot of Utahns do. I mean, you think, well, it's I'm only a small part of this, so what difference?
Right,
is it gonna
because
make if
it's
I wash my
agriculture
car?
and I'm not ag.
Right.
Okay, well, we have with us Kelly Good with the Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District. Thanks for joining us, Kelly.
Yes, thank you for having me.
We have a lot of other input from listeners, but I want to know from you, what are a few things that you think consumers can do that actually make an impact?
Well, the best thing to do, and I realize it's a big ask, is to replace some or all of your lawn with water-efficient landscaping. As Greg mentioned, most of our water is used outside, whether you're growing alfalfa or lawn, and in the Salt Lake Valley, we're growing lawn, and it doesn't really need to be grown. And so what we're asking people to do is think about areas where they're not using their lawn and convert that to water-efficient landscaping.
Can you tell our listeners, Kelly, just what exactly the current water situation is from your district's perspective?
Yeah, so we are actually today going to have our drought monitoring committee, but we're anticipating that we'll be asking folks to do some voluntary watering restrictions. Our reservoirs are about 20% lower than they were this time last year. Runoff is expected to be significantly lower than usual. So, we'll have enough water to deliver this year, but we're really asking everyone to do their parts, which will help us into the next year if we have sustained drought, which is likely.
So when we're heading into potentially, well, we're going into summer. We're not even there yet. We're not even technically to spring. But when do we start taking this water conservation seriously? When do we start watering our lawns, for example, even though the weather's a lot warmer?
Yes, that's a great question. So we're asking people to refrain from watering their lawns until May 15th. We see a lot of watering in April, and it really isn't necessary. Kentucky bluegrass can withstand, the lack of water for quite a while. It's a pretty resilient species, and especially this year where our supplies are starting to run low. If we can hold off through the spring until May 15th, then that will really put us ahead. So that's what we're asking people to do.
So Kelly, we have a texter that says that they have seen the signs asking people to delay watering their lawns, but they're driving by golf courses and they are already watering. Is that some behavior that could change, or is that outside of, like, we need to have our green golf courses?
Well, we would certainly like to see everybody do what they can. We can't, as a water district, really control what a golf course can do. We just ask for that. And really it's up to your cities to enforce watering restrictions if they have them, and talk to those business owners to see what can be done.
Kelly, let me ask you to follow up on something you said a minute ago. You said voluntary. We're asking for voluntary cutbacks. Does there come a point when the situation becomes so bad that that something you might require some mandatory cutting back?
Yeah, it definitely could get there. We're hopeful that our storage this year, again in the Salt Lake Valley, is resilient enough that we won't be doing mandatory restrictions. I think there are other areas in the state where there will be mandatory restrictions this year, just because their water situation is a bit different. So it really just has to do with how much water we anticipate being in the reservoirs after the spring runoff. And we're hopeful that we'll have enough to get us through just voluntary restrictions this year.
Last question. We've got about a minute left, but what do you recommend to homeowners in terms of things that they can do to replace their lawn that will be less water needy?
Yeah, so if you can replace big areas of lawn or areas that are on a sprinkler zone with water-efficient landscaping, and that really is just landscaping that only needs drip irrigation, that cuts down by about 2/3 of your watering. And if you go to slowtheflow.org, it has a ton of tips, everything from lawn replacement all the way to just an efficient watering schedule if you're unable to replace your lawn.
All right, that was Kelly Good with the Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District. Thank you for joining us this morning. When we come back, do you know what a VIN is?
I do. It's the vehicle identification number.
You're so smart. Do you know where it is?
Yes, it's in the front part in front of the driver's side in the windshield.
You're so smart. There you go. Well, anyway, did you know they could be cloned? Or it's a scam. I didn't either that we'll be talking to Matt Gephardt about. But first, it's time for a KSL bracket update every 15 minutes brought to you by the Stern Team Omada. Here's Jason Jones live from the KSL 24 Hours News Center.
As we all know, BYU has not been the same since the injury to Richie Saunders earlier in this year, but they have had time to adjust to it. But if you're looking for some late second update, or late minute, I guess I should say, upsets, UNC's Caleb Wilson, their number one scorer, is out for the season as well. Texas Tech's leading scorer, JT Toppin, he's out for the season. And Alabama's Aiden Holloway, their second leading scorer, has been arrested, and he is out for the tournament as well. So just a couple of notes for you there if you're looking for some last-minute upsets to pick on some of those bigger squads. With your KSL bracket update, I'm Jason Jones.
You know how they always used to ask you in grade school, what do you want to be when you grow up? I bet I'm the only kid who ever stood proud and said, I want to be a rain gutter or siding installer. Jim Jr. here with RGS Exteriors, and man, I can still remember all those wannabe astronauts and quarterbacks looking at me like I was an idiot. Who would want to install rain gutters or siding? Somebody who was a fourth generation in business. That's who. My great-grandfather, T.R. Brown, started the company in the 50s. Then my grandfather took over from him, then my dad, Tim Sr., and now I've been at the helm since 2005. Every day I wake up and think, man, I'm living the dream. And now my own kids are starting to work in the business too. 5 generations. If you want gutters, siding, windows, or any exteriors on your home, and a company that really cares deep down to our souls, give RGS a call. 801-280-3110 or find us online, rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com. 801-280-3110, rgsutah.com.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Amanda, I've got a cruise planned in a couple of months, and I was thinking about the other people who may have cruises planned coming up a few months from now, and why right now would be the best time for them to begin their weight loss journey on Soda Weight Loss.
If you started right now, you could lose 20, 30, 40 pounds before June.
That's right.
I lost 37 pounds in 3 months, 3.5 years ago. And the beauty about soda is it's not a quick fix. This is learning that is going to last you the rest of your life and help you be healthy.
Your clothes fit better. Your energy comes back. You don't get winded going upstairs.
Yeah.
Things that maybe you don't even realize. When I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, it felt like a transformation.
You learn what works for your body so you don't get addicted to shots or drugs. You just work with a nutritionist who's going to teach you how to keep the weight off for a lifetime.
Right now, you should go check out sodaweightloss.com, see all the thousands of before and after pictures, or speak with a nutritionist by giving a call 866-800-SODA.
Soda Weight Loss. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, this is a story that caught my attention, and I have taken a little time to sort of figure out what it means. But VIN cloning, vehicle identification number, which you correctly articulated a minute ago. Yeah, and scammers are taking advantage of this. I didn't understand how it worked, but we've got the guy here that can tell us exactly how it works.
Yeah, and you know what's... So, Matt Gebhardt, you have taught me to be even more of a cynic than I already naturally was. So I was just called to jury duty, by the way, and I thought it was fake, but I think maybe it's real. But this specific instance, I want you to tell us about VIN cloning and how people who are in the market for a car, what they should know.
Yeah, because it's something that if you buy a car, and we'll let Matt explain it in just a minute, but you buy a car, of course, you want to get like a Carfax. You want to get some information. You want to learn as much as you can about the car. And so to do that, you plug the VIN in to something like Carfax, and they'll give you this information.
Right.
But what can happen?
Yeah, and so what happens is, say, if you have a stolen car or a salvaged car, and you want to sell the thing, you're a bad guy trying to sell the thing, and the victim, your potential victim, says, I'm trying to buy this car. Give me the VIN number. Give me the VIN. Give me the vehicle identification number so that I can run a vehicle history report through something like Carfax and make sure the car is in good shape. And so say you've got a red Mazda that you know is stolen because you stole it. You might go down to, say, a grocery store parking lot and find another red Mazda and look through the dashboard or break into the glove box and pull out the title and steal that VIN from that car that isn't stolen. And so then you send that to the person who's going to buy it. They put it into the vehicle history report. It looks good. It's the same color, same car, same year, and so you're okay. Great. I'm going to go ahead and buy this thing, and then you do, and when you go to get it registered, the victim, when they go to get it registered, all of a sudden it's like this car was reported stolen.
Wow.
Ouch. Or it was badly damaged in a way that wouldn't have shown up on the fax report.
That's the kind of thing you wouldn't know necessarily when registering the thing, but yeah,
that's true.
When it comes to VIN cloning, but that's the kind of thing that you would learn through.
But you'd also
when your car fails.
You'd also go to DMV and you recognize, I guess, of course, who looks at this very closely, that in fact it's not the same VIN, right?
I wouldn't look.
You do,
right?
You need to, and that is the lesson here, especially with the way commerce is being done these days, right? Where a lot of it is happening through online classified ads, and the world's gotten a lot smaller thanks to the internet, right? You don't have to buy a car in Utah just because you live in Utah. You can buy it from anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, and have it shipped to you. And so with a lot of these things, and even reputable car companies, car sellers that literally are like, you buy the car kind of sight unseen, and they drive the thing right up to your front door. You've never test driven the car before, so the model has shifted, but it's done so in a way that has kind of opened the door to some of these kinds of scams.
So what is your best advice then for people purchasing a car? Don't ever buy one without eyeballs on?
Yes. You can make a deal, but when it comes to actually sending the money, you got to get eyeballs on the thing, or find somebody in the place where it's being bought that can go get eyeballs for you. So, as far as transactions go, because some of these criminals are real criminals. If you're when you do these things, and it comes time to meet up with them. It's a police station parking lot, that sort of thing, where you can have certain watching of your back happening. And then, it really is important. You can do all the due diligence, and mostly it's not scams, right? Mostly it's people trying to sell cars. And so I don't want to totally discourage people away from this or say you must go to a car dealership. But going to a car dealership is one way to protect yourself, right? The car dealers are responsible for selling the thing that they're selling under every state in the country's licensing departments and regulations. And so you can buy from a licensed dealership if you are going to do this person-to-person transaction. You can do all the due diligence, but at some point you got to figure out a way to get on an airplane or whatever makes you comfortable. Have the guy do a FaceTime call with you where you say, okay, I know this is so silly, but I listened to Matt Gephardt's stupid report and he's made me a cynic. I need you to walk out to the car, and just so I'm really sure it's you and not AI, do me a favor, spin in a circle 3 times, and then hold your the phone up to the dashboard there and show me that this is actually the car. And until I see that and know that, I'm not going to send any money your way.
Let me tell you another scam that I see all the time that you might want to be looking at. You're probably well aware of this. Let's say this. I buy a car from Matt Gephardt.
Yeah.
And it's a beater. It's got way too many miles, and I buy it from you for $5,000. I take the title, and I roll back the odometer, so now it says that it has, instead of $150,000, it has $70,000.
Yeah.
I wash it, make it real pretty. I sell it to Holly.
Yeah.
But I never put the title in my name. So when she buys the car, she pays me, but she gets the title from Matt Gephardt. I'm never in the loop. So by the time she finds out, or DMV finds out that the odometer's been rolled, they'll call
You're
Matt
long
Gephardt.
gone,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm long gone. And so I tell people this. It happens a lot.
Yeah, it does.
I think it's called curbing or something, but the reason I know about it is because I've got some clients that do it. But you're like, how do you guys make money off these cars? You're buying these cars on KSL.com and you're making a fortune. Then I realize what this story is. So the problem that DMV has is they never know who Greg Skordas is. They never know who they think that Holly got ripped off by Matt Gephardt.
Right. And so there's a couple of things that you can do. Yes, it's a very common scam. It's 2 different scams we're talking about here. One, odometer fraud,
right,
which you would think has gotten harder, but it's actually gotten easier.
Really?
Because with digital odometers, right? The days of Ferris Bueller putting the car up on the jacks and driving the thing backwards to try to roll, or actually cracking open a dashboard and rolling the odometer. You'd think that would be easier. No. Now they sell for very inexpensive and you can get them on Amazon because there are legitimate reasons these things exist. These devices that literally plug into your car, and you can manipulate the odometer to have it say anything you want.
Wow.
You're not supposed to. You're not allowed to. It's fraud to do it. But there are legitimate reasons that these are sold to car makers, and for just a couple $100 you can get one of these devices. So that's scam number 1 is
exactly
and is watch out for odometer fraud and a great point of why you should have vehicle history reports. Number 2 is it's hard for you to protect yourself as the buyer in that situation. As far as because what you're talking about here is the criminal aspect of it in the Motor Vehicle Enforcement Division, trying to go after the person who did the bad thing.
Right.
In that case, but there is something you can do to protect yourself as the seller, right? To make sure that the person who bought the car doesn't skip over the bad guy and go back to the person who sold the car legitimately.
Oh, you're talking about from the seller. Okay.
From the seller's standpoint, right? Because if in your scenario, right, like I've sold the car legitimately to Greg Skordas commits fraud and sells it to Holly, but Greg Skordas never registered the car in his name, and so Holly's coming after me. When Holly calls the cops and said I've been ripped off, the cops are coming after Matt Gephardt.
So what can Matt Gephardt
What Matt Gephardt can do is he can go to the DMV when he sells the car and report that he has sold the car.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I just did a story on this a couple of weeks ago about a guy who literally got a parking ticket in Vegas after he'd sold the car because it hadn't been re-registered. Somebody drove down there and parked the thing back there. And so that happens all the time, right? You buy the car, you just don't get it re-registered, you rack up parking tickets or whatever the case may be. I did a horror story once where somebody actually got sued because the car was involved in an accident and killed some people and it wasn't properly maintained, and it went back to the previous owner who's like, "Man, I sold this thing a decade ago. What are you talking about?" There's now a way, and it has not always existed, but there's now a way that you, a consumer, can report to the Utah DMV, I have sold this car, unregister it from my name.
Oh, but you may not know who you sold it to necessarily.
Correct.
Because you gave me cash.
Correct.
But that's a good point. That's a smart thing. I hadn't thought about
that's
that. The
really
seller
smart.
can go to DMV and say, I no longer own this car. I've sold it. Yeah. It's not in my name anymore. That way, at least the crosshairs aren't going to be on you when Holly finds out that she's been ripped off.
And no matter what, I was never going to be ultimately responsible, but there's still some hassle and billable hours there that you don't want to have to deal with as the seller.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, that's amazing information. I really appreciate it. So thanks for joining us. KSL TV's Matt Gephardt. You know, when we come back, I want to talk about this. Birth trauma is a very real thing. It's impacting many moms in Utah. And in fact, a new report from the Kim C. Gardner Institute finds nearly half of mothers have experienced birth trauma. I'm familiar with it as a midwife.
Sure you are.
And I want to talk about what it is and what we do about it. We'll learn about that when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story. We are waiting for an update on the fire that broke out in Duchesne County. As of last night, it was up to 15 acres, threatening a structure. The cause is under investigation. Governor Spencer Cox has announced he is releasing a book. The book is called Off Ramp: How to Be a Peacemaker in an Age of Contempt. He says he's been working on this for years, and it's based on his idea of disagreeing better. He describes it as his attempt to find a way to disagree with someone without seeing them as an enemy. Our top national story this hour, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is standing by his assessment that the U.S. is crippling Iran's military capabilities.
We wouldn't want to set a definitive time frame on that, but as we've said, we're on plan. So we're looking at those metrics very closely.
Hegseth says the U.S. has struck over 7,000 targets across Iran. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 371. Right now we're at 45,851. The KSL Bracket Update every 15 minutes, brought to you by the Stern Team Omada. Here is Jason Jones.
First game of the tournament tipping off, I guess I should say. Got to get out of the football mode and into the basketball mode. 10:15 is when it comes your way. TCU against OSU. It's a 9-8 matchup. TCU, the 9 seed. OSU, the 8 seed. That's out of the East region. Of course, BYU is going to be playing a little bit later on today against Texas. I'm Jason Jones with your KSL Bracket Update. I'm Jason Jones.
Follow NCAA tournament updates and all other sports updates on KSLSports.com. Coming up, another day of likely record-setting heat. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you've saved more than $300,000, there's one thing you can do now that can make your savings go twice as far in retirement, and it's tax planning. That's right. Tax planning could significantly reduce the taxes on your IRA and 401k withdrawals, Social Security benefits, and other investment income. Find out how much money you could save with a free retirement tax savings analysis from the good people at Boss Retirement Solutions. To schedule your free analysis, call 801-896-9622. Tax planning for retirement could reduce your taxes not just for 1 year, but for the rest of your life. And the savings could be six figures. Let's find out how much money you could save. Call 801-896-9622. 801-896-9622.
For informational purposes only, actual results may vary. No statement contained herein shall constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors and SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Listen, parents, I've seen your search history. How to survive spring break without totally losing my mind. Take a deep breath because I'm about to make this so easy. This is Julie from the Visitors Bureau in Logan. Step 1, reserve your hotel room right now. Step 2, get to the American West Heritage Center for the original Baby Animal Days, April 1st through the 4th and 9th through the 11th. We're talking newborn lambs, sassy kids, goat kids, not your kids, and baby bears from Yellowstone Bear World. But wait, there's more. After you've held a baby chick and thrown a tomahawk like a mountain man, you'll be hungry. Head to Angie's for the kitchen sink. It's a ginormous banana split on steroids served in an actual sink. If you finish it, you get a job washing dishes. I'm kidding. Walk it off on a scenic mountain hike or head to the Cache Valley Fun Park for laser tag, roller skating, and bowling. Baby animals, epic eats, and practically zero stress. Head to Logan for spring break or anytime you need a break. Plan your vacay at explorelogan.com. explorelogan.com.
Amanda, I've got a cruise planned in a couple of months, and I was thinking about the other people who may have cruises planned coming up a few months from now, and why right now would be the best time for them to begin their weight loss journey on Soda Weight Loss.
If you started right now, you could lose 20, 30, 40 pounds before June.
That's right.
I lost 37 pounds in 3 months, 3.5 years ago. And the beauty about soda is it's not a quick fix. This is learning that is going to last you the rest of your life and help you be healthy.
Your clothes fit better. Your energy comes back. You don't get winded going upstairs.
Yeah.
Things that maybe you don't even realize. When I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, it felt like a transformation.
You learn what works for your body so you don't get addicted to shots or drugs. You just work with a nutritionist who's going to teach you how to keep the weight off for a lifetime.
Right now, you should go check out sodaweightloss.com, see all the thousands of before and after pictures, or speak with a nutritionist by giving a call 866-800-SODA.
Soda Weight Loss. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime. Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. And here's Cormac Bone.
We don't have any major delays, but we do have a couple of crashes. The first is the off-ramp from I-15 southbound at University Parkway in Orem. They are blocking, they're off the road on the right side, and just give them the space as they try and work on that to crash, and be kind as they're trying to get that car back onto the road. And then the other crash we have, this is on I-215 South Belt at State Street. It looks like they are on at the beginning of the on-ramp to eastbound I-215 South Belt at State Street. Again, not causing major delays, but they are working on that cleanup, so please give them the space. If your roof needs repair or replacement, do it now during S&S Roofing's huge spring sale. Flexible financing options available. Get the best value on the highest quality roofing job. Get a quote today at snsroofingutah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
The KSL Weather Center is predicting a high of 81 today, which would set a record for the month of March. Then 83 tomorrow, 82 on Saturday. Right now it's sunny and 63 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
As soon as I saw this report from the Kim C. Gardner Policy Institute, I knew I wanted to talk about it on the show.
And I knew I wanted to ask you a lot of questions about it because it's another concept, another thing that I hadn't thought about before.
Yeah, so it's a concept of about birth trauma, right? Trauma that can occur in the process of having a baby. And one of the things that was interesting to me is the number. It can be as high as 44% of moms having babies are experiencing birth trauma. And it's something that I was aware of in my time practicing as a midwife. And I started that 25 years ago, I think, or a little bit more. And it was something that we were aware of in the midwifery community because we had so many clients that would come to us and say, my first birth was so traumatic, I just cannot do that again. And they wanted a different option.
So let me ask you that birth trauma, I thought was the physical trauma, like something happened badly during the
yeah, absolutely.
birthing process.
It can be, but not exclusively that. And we're going to talk with an expert. In fact, she's the senior health research analyst at the Gardner Institute and the lead author of this report. Thanks for joining us. This is Melanie Beagley. Thanks, Melanie.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
So I have an understanding of birth trauma, but I want you to explain it to Greg, who does not. What is birth trauma?
Yeah, absolutely. So birth trauma is when someone has a really distressing or overwhelming experience during childbirth that has lasting emotional or psychological effects. So it can happen when you do have what's considered a medically successful birth. And it's really those two components. So you have this overwhelming or distressing experience, some of that physical that you just mentioned, as well as that kind of lasting emotional distress. And it's really defined by the individual's experience. So for some, it's involves a fear for their life or their baby's life during childbirth, while for others, it's really can be a feeling of a loss of control during birth, not being heard during birth, or not understanding kind of what's happening during the birth experience and why.
So what would be the effects, and maybe this is an unfair question, Melanie, because I know we're going to talk about the study itself, but what are the not symptoms, but the effects of birth trauma to a woman? I guess there's probably many.
Yeah, so there are many. So I think it's multifaceted. I think up front we think about that mental health impact. So when you talk about trauma, when you talk about long-term distress, that really can be related to mental health struggles that they may have. after the birth experience. So whether that's, anxiety, depression, sometimes OCD, and then, of course, post-traumatic stress disorder. But birth trauma can also affect relationships. So what we heard in our interviews, which is the kind of foundation of this report, is strain on relationships, disrupted bonding with the newborn, and that it's really multifaceted based on the experience, sometimes separation from the newborn, as well as, and I heard you talk about this, but really decisions about future pregnancies and a lot of anxiety about having another child and going through that. And that doesn't just fall on the woman that gave birth, but for those that are present, that can be a really distressing and anxiety-inducing experience. So it's really for the whole family deciding, do we want to go through this again?
So, Melanie, I also used to teach childbirth education classes. This is 35 years ago. And one of the things that I did in my classes was I asked both the moms and the dads, what were they most concerned about, right? We had a whole class on unexpected outcomes. And I will tell you, it was fascinating to me because we had to talk about process, and I had experienced not only a cesarean but the birth of a child with really significant disabilities, and so I came from it with maybe a different perspective than most. But one of the things that I found was that the vast majority of the time, the mothers were worried about a long labor potentially ending in a cesarean section, and the dads were worried about the death of their partner.
Yes.
So this has impacts on not only the moms, but I read your report. Tell us a little bit about the impacts that can have on the dads as well.
Yeah, and so all of our interviews were with mothers, but they shared consistently, whether it was while they were sharing about their birth trauma experience, just recognizing that their partners sometimes had to make decisions for them because it was an emergency situation, it was a life-threatening situation. What we heard also, so that's fear, as you mentioned, for the life of the mother. There's also birth trauma can include the separation from the baby, often related to the child needing time in the NICU. And so, parents instantly having to decide, okay, you go and fly to Salt Lake if you live in a rural area with the baby. So there's this trauma from the partner of, is my partner okay? But also we have this new baby that's, being life flighted to University Hospital, let's say, for example. So you have these really complex situations where partners are also observing what's happening in the room when there is an emergency situation. Hemorrhaging can be a part of childbirth and postpartum, and that can be really devastating to see your partner go through significant blood loss. And so it really can be quite, again, like birth and birth trauma, it can include a lot of different conditions that happen during that perinatal period and birth, including birth. But partners are often there seeing and experiencing it. And I would say from the interviews, from the mother's perspective, is that we need to kind of raise up that as well, because support is often not as recognized or available for partners. And then I just want to mention that there was also a recognition that providers are also involved in these experiences and can also experience some of that trauma and emotional distress.
Melanie, let me ask you this. Can birth trauma be exacerbated by the medical people, the healthcare givers? Or there are times when the staff, maybe because of, poor patient doctor skills, can make this worse.
Make it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of when we're asked what leads to birth trauma, we think of two categories of factors that lead to it, and they do play with one another. So one is kind of what I've just already described, which is those clinical events, so emergency C-sections, other kind of medical complications or medical emergencies. And really that second kind of category of factors is really that care experience, which you just mentioned. And that came through very strong in our interviews. So That looks like when individuals maybe experience a lack of communication from their care team, maybe feeling dismissed or not listened to, a loss of control. And this is how they're expressing how they feel. So a feel of a loss of control or not being involved in decision-making during the birth or perinatal period. So even when interventions are necessary, we know not often, but we know that there can be times when, life-saving interventions are needed. It's really how that care is delivered that can play a major role in if birth trauma is experienced by the person and has that kind of lasting impact. Oftentimes because people still have questions, what happened? Will it happen again? And so some of these kind of trauma-informed practices, clear communication, consistent communication, involving people as much as you can, even in emergency situations, if there's a possibility, can really help prevent that long-term fear or anxiety and fear that it'll happen again.
All right, we're going to continue this conversation on birth trauma in the next segment. But first, it's time for a KSL bracket update every 15 minutes, brought to you by the Stern Team Elmada. Here's Jason Jones live from the KSL 24-hour news center.
And they are taking the court right now. This is Ohio State against TCU, the first game of the day. They haven't quite tipped off yet, but they're just about to. That's an 8-9 matchup there out of the East region. Coming up in about 25 minutes, we're going to have our second game of the day. That's Troy, Nebraska. Troy, the 13 seed against Nebraska, the 4 seed. That comes your way out of the South region. And then we'll be off and running for the rest of the day. Don't forget, of course, BYU takes on Texas a little bit later on today on KSL. With your KSL bracket update, I'm Jason Jones.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and they watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror. I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because,
That is something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
Amanda, I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, ANDcollar.com.
At IFA, our mission is to support our customers' passion for the rural and Western lifestyle. Whether you have a small garden or acres of farmland, a few backyard chickens or hundreds of cattle, our feed, farm supply, and agronomy experts are here to help. And we've been doing it better than anyone else for more than 100 years now. Stop by one of our stores today or visit us online at ifa.coop and get the kind of service and support for your lifestyle. IFA, helping you grow the things you love.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Take the first step. Visit CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
How can you grow your business from idea to industry leader? With smart business buying tools and technology from Amazon Business. From fast, free shipping to in-depth buying insights and automated purchase approvals, we deliver everything you need. Go to AmazonBusiness.com for support.
Febreze. New Febreze Air Mist has 50% more odor fighters and up to 30% more fragrance than the old formula. So now you can take on 100% more stinky odors, like sweaty gym bags, greasy cooking smells, and the after effects of the dog rolling around in something. Just spray, and new Febreze Air instantly restores just clean freshness. Smell you later, odor. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new, it's inherited. A ring from a grandmother, a necklace tucked away in a drawer, pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jeweler specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design, every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. dukesjewelers.com.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So we have with us still Melanie Bigley, Senior Health Research Analyst at the Gardner Institute. And we have her on the line still because we are continuing our conversation about birth trauma, specifically in Utah. And Greg, I hope you're learning a lot.
I am, and so much so that I asked if we could stick around and do another segment on this because I don't think we have all our questions answered.
Thanks for staying with us, Melanie. Yeah, I don't think we have had an opportunity to really talk about the next part, which is okay. Therefore what, right? So women are experiencing trauma. And, Greg's question about can the medical community impact this? The answer is yes, both negatively and positively. I wondered if you could tell us what can the medical community do if/when birth trauma occurs? I guess the better way to say it is how can the medical community be more trauma informed in helping women and their families through this?
Yeah, and that's, I think, a really important point. As we've said a few times already, traumatic experiences often involve like necessary life-saving care, but how that care is delivered is really important. So what our interviewees said, and also what the research says when we think about trauma-informed care is when care is delivered by explaining what is happening and why, so keeping them informed, keeping a patient and their family informed, checking in with the patient throughout the process. So whether that's a mother recovering, whether that's a very, very long, very painful delivery, checking in, being present, or whether that's the baby being in the NICU, just keeping people informed, checking in with them. Also acknowledging the emotional impact afterwards. This came through very strong in the interviews of validating that was a really challenging experiencing, validating that there might be emotional implications for what someone just went through. It can be really important, as well as offering really a debrief after the birth to talk through what happened and why. Again, we've talked through a little bit about people have a fear that it might happen again, and so understanding what happened and why it happened and the risks and complications involved really helps them kind of understand. And what we heard is really start to heal and feel less anxious as they think about a future pregnancy or just kind of trying to move on from the experience.
Melanie, what can be some of the long-term effects on the mother? Is it similar to something like PTSD or other trauma that a person would suffer, and then they have to deal with that for years down the road?
Yeah, so a lot of kind of, as you mentioned, PTSD is one of the symptoms or implications, effects of birth trauma. And I'll say when birth trauma goes untreated. So folks may have this, they may start to experience some of these effects. But it's, if they can get treatment, oftentimes, treatment, mental health treatment, PTSD treatment, that can help kind of reduce some of the severity or long-term kind of characteristics of this. But PTSD, as you mentioned, some other mental health challenges, depression, anxiety, OCD can be common. As well as some of those relationship experiences that we mentioned. So strain on the partner relationships, so husband-wife or partners, parents. There can be disruptions with the bonding with their child, whether that's often the newborn can be impacted because of that trauma experience and because of the mental health challenges that they might experience. So they might act in terms of withdraw from the newborn, from their partner, or from other children. So really those kind of relationships and social withdrawal can be part of it. But, if they can seek support, both, what's really important is getting that mental health support, oftentimes from a specialist, and maternal mental health can be really impactful, but also continued support from their family and friends. Social support or social networks are really important for helping us recover from challenges like birth trauma or other traumatic experiences.
Melanie, I want to ask you about postpartum support because I think the United States is one of the worst nations in the world for supporting moms postpartum. And I saw in your report you had somebody who mentioned like a one and done, right? You have all this attention going in and then it's a one and done when you're postpartum, and that can be even with the mental health. What can we as a society do to better support newly postpartum families, moms especially?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, this is one of the strongest themes that came through in the report, that one and done idea, or that kind of the support really drops off quickly after birth. So women this is what they described through the interviews, what they needed. So more than one postpartum visit. So often women get one postpartum visit, the babies get more, but that there might be need for more check-ins. As well as another thing that was described, women needing is proactive outreach from their providers to really check in on how they're doing, but also to directly connect them to support. So what we heard is, even if they got resources handed to them, which is a common practice, there's so much going on, so much new, so much recovery. It might be hard to take that first step. And so getting that proactive coordination of care for them can be really important. Another one is mental health check-ins before leaving the hospital. Again, this is, I think, a common practice, but maybe universalizing that if it's not already universalized in kind of process. And then as well as early access to care. So that kind of includes all of what I just said. So proactive outreach, more than one postpartum follow-up. That involves your family and friends, your network, to see what are we seeing going on here? Can we help get this new mom or this family into early access to care? And that includes also system-wise, that includes access to telehealth. What we heard a lot in the interviews, a key theme was childcare can be challenging. Transportation can be challenging when you're, hauling a newborn around. So trying to reduce some of those barriers, and telehealth is one option to do that. And then as we've mentioned already, it's important to think about partners and families in this support system and resources, and that really, recognizing that postpartum includes the whole family.
We're speaking with Melanie Beagley, Senior Research Analyst at the Kempsey Gardner Institute. Let me ask you this. You touched on this a minute ago, but I wanted to go dig a little deeper. Let's say that a woman has suffered from birth trauma, and she's like, there is no way I'm ever going through that again. That's just not happening. But Dad and others have said, look, let's see what's available. Are there things available that might help a mother decide to go back into that, even though she had a horrible experience the first time?
Yeah, so I think there's kind of two things I think of from our report when you ask that. One is, recognizing that birth involves risk. So we can't totally prevent birth trauma, but the severity and long-term impacts can be reduced through some of the things we talked about in terms of the care experience. So clear communication, informed consent, emotional support and validation, and really preparation for any complications. So just really clear communication of what it looks like going forward and why you might have experienced this in the past to help reduce some of that anxiety. But also helping people kind of cope with their maybe emotional or psychological challenges that they're having because of a post or a birth trauma experience. So again, some of those key things is early recognition and support. So access to mental health care, especially providers trained in maternal health care. So trying to advocate for that, get people connected to that. peer support groups can be really helpful when mentioning, how do I do this again? Maybe I want to have more kids. That's a place where women can connect with others who've experienced these and, share their experience. Maybe they went and had more children after this and sharing what worked for them and just having that community and network. And then, again, kind of validating. I think that's one thing. We heard oftentimes that new moms maybe hushed or hid the challenges they were having emotionally, mentally, because of fear, and so just validating that this is a reality. This is a challenging time. It's also a great time. Can be a great time with a baby, but that it can be very challenging. So I think that validation can help people feel like they're supported, and that if the ideal situation doesn't happen again through this, that there's support and that it's okay, and that they have a community around them. And that involves the care community. So we're thinking our maternity care teams and networks, as well as, again, that kind of family and social support.
Thank you so much. That was Melanie Bigley, Senior Health Research Analyst. And look, I have to just note that we have resources available at kslnewsradio.com. You can also go to birthtrauma.utah.gov for more information.
When we come back, Iran attacked an oil refinery in Saudi Arabia and 2 in Kuwait. Why? We'll talk to an expert when we come back.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, those black and white Utah license plates are set to double in price. A bill passed and sent to the governor would change the price from $25 to $50. Before, the money for the plates went to the Utah State Historical Society. Now it will go into 3 different funds: the Cultural and Community Engagement Foundation Fund, the Transportation Investment Fund of 2005, and the Olympic and Paralympic Venues Grant Fund. Those changes would go into place January of next year. Our top national story this hour: fewer people were standing in the unemployment line last week.
First-time claims for state jobless benefits fell by 8,000 last week to 205,000 altogether. Employment analysts are more interested in the less volatile 4-week moving average, which also fell in the week leading up to March 14th. The Labor Department says the figures released today reflect an annual revision to the statistics to account for seasonal anomalies.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. Your money at this moment: the Dow is down 319 points at this hour. That is 45,905. The KSL Bracket Update every 15 minutes, brought to you by the Stern Team Omada. Here's Jason Jones.
First game is underway. Ohio State had a nice stretch of 4 minutes where they didn't score at all. However, they only find themselves down by 3 points to TCU right now. It's 14-11. Just under 12 minutes left. Well, about 11 minutes left now in the first half there. And about 10 minutes from now, we're going to be tipping off between Troy and Nebraska. That's out of the South region. A little bit later on this morning, we've got South Florida against Louisville, and then High Point against Wisconsin. Ohio State just scored again, so it's 14-13. With your KSL Bracket Update, I'm Jason Jones.
Follow NCAA tournament updates and all other sports updates on KSL News Radio and KSLSports.com. Coming up, another extra warm day today. We might even break a record. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
I'm here with Monty from Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer. So, Monty, I wonder if you know someone like this. He's the ultimate DIY guy. Restores classic cars, builds his own deck, and even smokes his own brisket.
Sounds like a talented guy.
He is, but get this, his other weekend hobby is troubleshooting his water softener. He's always down there resetting the timer or fiddling with the circuit board.
See, Doug, that's where I draw the line. Smoking a brisket is a great weekend project.
Yeah.
Fixing an electric water softener is just a chore.
Exactly. He thinks he's saved money by buying the bargain brand, but he's paying for it with his Saturdays.
That's the Connecticut difference. Our systems are premium because they are non-electric and fully automated. No computers to fry, no timers to reset. We install it and you get back to the hobbies you actually enjoy.
If you want soft water, do what I did and leave that to Connecticut. It runs on water power, not willpower. Learn more at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Buying a home or refinancing can be complicated. So who do you call? Who's trustworthy, has decades of experience, and can get you a loan done quickly? Who will work hard for you to find the great rate and reasonable closing costs? The answer's clear. Loans by Rick. Right now, Loans by Rick is giving a 30-year fixed rate at 5.5% and a 15-year fixed at just 4.625%.
He can't do that.
Oh, yes, he can. For over 25 years, Rick has helped people navigate the mortgage process and get the financing they need to buy a home or refinance. That even includes paying off debt with a cash-out refi. And because Loans by Rick works with over 80 bank and lending relationships, we shop multiple lenders to find you the very best deal. Whether you're buying a home or refinancing, call Loans by Rick at 801-809-SAVE. That's 801-809-SAVE, or visit loansbyrick.com. Rick Urgemont, NMLS 241179, Vintage Lending, NMLS 287106, Equal Housing Lender, 30-year APR 5.78%, 15-year APR 4.78%, some restrictions apply.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. And here's Cormac Bone.
The crashes that we had in Orem and near I-215 South Belt have both cleared off the road. It's once again a accident-free drive all across the Wasatch Front. We do have some delays, though. This is due to construction, and that's what's causing the worst of it. Eastbound Pioneer Crossing, still heavy and slow trying to get onto I-15. And eastbound 2100 North, you still have those scattered slowdowns, really actually both directions from Redwood Road all the way over to I-15. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
We should see record high temperatures over the next 3 days. 81 today, 83 tomorrow, 82 on Saturday. Right now it's 64 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
When we started the show, Holly, you mentioned that you paid pretty close to $4 per gallon of gas here in Utah recently, and with what we're about to tell you, we're probably going to exceed that $4 a gallon mark,
that's right.
Because we're learning now that Iran has attacked an oil refinery in Saudi Arabia, 2 in Kuwait. According to the Associated Press, Iran hit a Saudi refinery on the Red Sea, set several Qatari liquefied natural gas facilities and 2 Kuwaiti oil refineries on fire, which of course will contribute to rising oil and gas prices. What I don't understand, Holly, is why Iran would hit Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Kuwaiti facilities. Maybe I'm missing something.
Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I hope that our guest does. So we have Austin Nuppy on the line with us. He's the director of the Haravi Peace Institute at Utah State University and an expert in Middle East politics. Thanks for joining us, Austin.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be back.
So first of all, why... Can you just give us, I guess, a 30,000-foot view about why Iran would attack oil refineries of their neighbors?
Yeah, sure thing. So in the U.S. and Israeli attack against Iran, Iran is certainly militarily outpowered, right, in all dimensions, economically, diplomatically, and with respect to military power. So for Iran, the goal is not to defeat the United States. The goal is to survive. And if you want to survive, you need to impose economic costs. So as long as Iran can complicate or make dangerous transit through the Strait of Hormuz, drive up gas prices, affect U.S. public opinion, that will test U.S. resolve, right? So that's a great strategy if you're facing a superpower that is really sensitive to economic costs and public opinion. they know they can't win on the battlefield, so they're going to wage this asymmetric strategy, try to drive up oil, perhaps up to $200 a barrel. So as of today, it's 106. So we will see.
Okay, so that makes sense. So Iran can maybe put some pressure on the United States and Israel to back off if, in fact, oil and gas prices get to the point where the people, population goes, hey, wait a minute, is this really something we want to do? It just seems odd. And it makes perfect sense, but attacking your neighbors who you aren't necessarily in this fight, it doesn't jive too much. But I understand the end game.
Yeah, they're all U.S. allies, right? So the Saudi Arabians, all the Gulf states either host U.S. troops or have strong U.S. economic cooperation. So to understand the balance of power in the Middle East, you have to understand the Gulf rivalry with Iran. You have to understand Israel-Iran dynamics. You have to understand Turkey's role. There's at least 3 or 4 different power blocks that want to dominate the region. Mm-hmm. And so the Gulf states are valuable targets because they're U.S. proxies. They're U.S. allies in the region.
So I might sound a little nerdy, but I know you're a professor of political science, and I have a PhD in political science as well. And I am just wondering, you're talking about power. Are there like regional power dynamics there that would make it? We talk about the U.S. being a global superpower. Are we trying to see these regions maybe break up some of the U.S.'s power, and that's part of it, or is it just more complicated than that?
Yeah, so they're certainly challenging U.S. hegemony. Hegemony just means being the dominant military power in any region.
I was trying to avoid using that word because it's a big one.
Yeah, U.S. Predominance or dominant power in the region. Part of the problem is for the last, since 1990, everyone was worried about the U.S. playing global policemen and the total unparalleled power. It turns out that actually had a large suppressive effect, right? And when the U.S. Backs away from international institutions, from military commitments, the world gets a heck of a lot more chaotic. And so what we're seeing is perhaps a decrease in U.S. predominance, and it's going to make regional balance of power politics in East Asia and in the Middle East and even in the Caribbean more uncertain, perhaps more dangerous.
And as part of it, so I was thinking more locally, hey, gas price or oil prices go up in the United States, the people get upset. Sure. But globally, I guess there could be some pressure as a result of Iran's actions from other countries to go to the United States and to go to Israel and say, hey, you've got to end this. We can't continue this way. Is that another part of the goal for Iran here?
Well, that's certainly the case, right? The Chinese, Japanese, South Koreans, all highly dependent on Iranian oil. The Brent crude oil that we use to make gasoline for our cars is traded on the global market. So U.S. will be relatively lesser affected than those areas. And I think if I was advising Xi Jinping in Beijing, I would say, listen, this is a golden moment for the Chinese to step in and try to mediate this dispute and demonstrate that, hey, the American foreign policy is off the rails, but we're here to help end this crisis and make sure that people not only get petrocarbons, but they can afford food, right? Because we use oil for agriculture and plastic production and food, a whole bunch of things. It's not just the price of gas in our tanks.
Dr. Nuppy, we don't have a ton of time left, but since you're at the Peace Institute up there at Utah State, I wanted to ask you what, from your opinion, your professional viewpoint, what do you think needs to happen for peace to be restored to the region?
Well, what can we do from the state of Utah? I suppose we can take care of our Persian friends and neighbors. We have a lot of Iranian Americans and Iranian students at universities throughout the state. We can certainly learn about the region. I'd encourage us to call our congresspeople and senators in Washington, D.C., express concern. That's what's under our control here from Utah. But I think we're in for a lot more uncertainty, and I think this is the end of the beginning as opposed to the beginning of the end. So time will only tell, right? I've been studying the Middle East long enough to know that anyone that tells you with certainty what's going to happen is a fool. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
We've got about a minute left, but you said something that got me interested that makes a lot of sense, but I don't know that it could occur. And that is that a country like China could come in and say, let's mediate this. I mean, maybe they're a little closer to Iran than they are to the United States, and maybe the U.S. wouldn't agree to that. But it seems like there's got to be some mediation that could occur, and China or Japan, you said South Korea, seem to be really likely people for that, or agencies, countries for that purpose.
That's right. Yeah, they're highly dependent on Gulf oil. Listen, today, I believe it was either in the Wall Street Journal or The Economist, you had the foreign minister of Oman say, hey, the American foreign policy, we need to address what's going on and de-escalate. Oman's this little tiny Gulf state, doesn't have a lot of oil reserves, but is a world center for international diplomacy. So I could see that happening. Right? You need a third party to come in. It's telling that the Gulf states are now entering the war and that the Europeans are sitting on the sidelines. The French and British and Germans are very skittish to get involved in, and rightfully so.
Thank you so much. That was Dr. Austin Nuppy, and I hope you will join us again, Dr. Nuppy. That was really fascinating.
Yeah, really interesting. I learned a lot.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Talking to you both.
Thank you.
Thanks.
When we come back, there were a couple of stories about parole that caught my eye this morning, and I want to ask you, the legal expert, about how that whole process works. So one of them has been convicted of murder, but had a good year, I understand, and so I'm going to talk to you about that. But first, it's time for a KSL bracket update every 15 minutes, brought to you by the Stern Team Omada. Here's Jason Jones, live from the KSL 24-hour News Center.
First game of the day, and TCU has opened up just a little bit of a lead over Ohio State. It's 23-17 now, with about 6.5 minutes left in the first half there. We are underway in the South region as well. Troy against Nebraska. Nebraska just made a 2-pointer, and it's now 4-3 over Troy. Neither one of these teams has ever won an NCAA tournament game, so whichever one wins that game will be happy to actually have won their first game. We got a couple other games coming up a little bit later. South Florida against Louisville, and also Wisconsin against High Point. With your KSL bracket update, I'm Jason Jones.
When you crash your car, you get it fixed. When your computer crashes, you get a new one. But what will you do if you've been saving in a 401k or an IRA and the market crashes? If you're in your 30s or 40s, you'll be just fine. But if you're in or near retirement, you could be in trouble. Mike Stevens and his team at Capital Wealth Advisors are here to help. They can run a risk analysis to see if you're too heavily invested in the market. Don't let the ups and downs of Wall Street control you or your retirement dreams. Call 801-210-5500 today to schedule your risk analysis with Mike Stevens and the team at Capital Wealth Advisors. That's 801-210-5500. Crashes happen. Question is, are you ready? Capital Wealth Advisors, 801-210-5500. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Rev up your weekend. Join KSL News Radio and Andy Farnsworth this Friday from 3 to 5 at the Utah RV Spring Show at Mountain America Expo Center. Tickets at UtahRVSupershow.com.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Hey, it's Brian with Olson's Greenhouse. In today's busy world, your home should be your sanctuary. A peaceful retreat where you can unwind, breathe deeply, and recharge. And what better way to create that haven than with flowers? A pop of color in your flower beds, a cheerful container garden by the front door, or a lush patio filled with vibrant blooms can transform any space into a personal oasis. Flowers don't just brighten up your home, they lift your spirits too. Research even shows that surrounding yourself with plants can reduce stress and boost happiness. At Olson's Greenhouse, we grow premium quality plants that make it easy to bring beauty and joy into your life. Whether you prefer bold, eye-catching colors or soft, soothing pastels, we have the perfect flowers to complement your space. And with locally grown plants, you know they're ready to thrive. This spring, create a sanctuary of color and comfort with flowers from Olson's Greenhouse. Find us on Instagram at Olson's Greenhouse Gardens or go to OGG.com to find a retailer near you. That's OGG.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877-CARS-4-KIDS to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877-CARS-4-KIDS to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Inside Sources.
Okay, Holly, you need to take notes because I'm going to give you a little criminal justice lecture here. And because there are a lot of concepts in the law that people don't understand. Now, there are a couple of stories that we're going to get to in a minute that after you understand the law, you might understand what happened in those. But in Utah, well, most states have what's called probation,
right,
parole,
okay,
and something called indeterminate sentences. And let me
Okay.
just tell you what those mean. Probation is this. If a person, let's say the same person commits a manslaughter, that carries 1 to 15 years in prison.
Okay.
A judge can say, I'm going to give you probation, which means you're not going to go to prison for 1 to 15 years. You can go to jail for a year. That's still probation, even though you're locked up.
Interesting.
So if you can say, look, I'm going to give you 1 to 15 years in prison, but I'm going to stay it. I'm not going to put it in place, and I will give you a year in jail and put you on probation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's how probation works. It's a stay from what would normally be the sentence. Then you have something called parole, because people say my parole officer, my probation officer, and they're different.
Okay.
Parole occurs when a person goes to prison. So let's say the same manslaughter. The judge says you're going to prison for 1 to 15 years. 1 to 15 years means just that. It's 1 to 15, and Utah does things a little bit unusually. We have what we call indeterminate sentences. So 1 to 15 literally means 1 to 15. For example, let's say if you're a federal person robs a bank, that's a federal crime. Bank robbery carries 10 years, period.
Okay.
But in Utah, armed robbery, let's say you walk across the street and you rob the Circle K.
Okay.
Are there still Circle Ks?
I don't
Anyway,
know.
the Maverick, whatever. and that's not a federal crime.
Okay.
That would carry 5 years to life. So in Utah,
Okay.
it's 5 to life. In the feds, it's 10 years plus 5 if you use a gun and
Okay.
blah, blah, blah. So who decides how much of that time you serve? That's up to what's called the Board of Pardons, the parole board.
Okay.
It's the same group. So a person goes out to prison on a 1 to 15 year, and we're going to talk about a couple of examples here. They don't just say, see you in 1 year or see you in 15 years. They'll set a board date. They'll set a date for that person to go see the board. And the Board of Pardons will look at them, Board of Pardons and Parole it's called. They'll look at them and say, okay, you're out here on a 1 to 15. We'll see you in another year. We'll see you in 2 years. Or they might just say, you're going to do the whole 15. Don't even
Right.
bother
So
us.
we had that case with Kipling Davis, right, where he served the full 15 because he was not willing to share information about
Exactly.
where her body was.
Exactly. The
Okay.
parole board said this: you're out here on a 1 to 15. You have the keys to the prison in your pocket. If you want to help the family, help law enforcement, help them solve this murder,
Tell us where her
tell us
body
where
is.
she is. We'll consider releasing you. And he said
No.
nothing. So they said, fine, we'll see you in 15 years. Then the 15 came up, and people were calling me going, hey, he killed somebody. Why does he only do 15 years? Because he pled to a crime that carried 1 to 15 years.
Yeah, he did the full time. And then what you taught me is that when he got out, he's done. Like, he doesn't have probation, or he doesn't have anybody he has to report in with. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's nothing else to
Okay.
you can't do probation or parole if you serve the whole sentence.
Sure. Okay.
Parole occurs when you go to prison on a 1 to 15. Let's say they let you out in 7 years. Well, you still have 8 left from your 15.
Okay.
So you could be on
Sure.
parole for
Yeah.
15 years.
Okay, so what would the consequences be then of being out on parole? You have to report in regularly. You got to keep yourself clean. Like,
right. Yeah. Parole and probation are exactly the same once
Okay.
you're on them, but they're just
Okay.
different concepts. So you have a probation officer, you have a parole officer. You check in once a month. They might say you need to get a job.
Oh,
you
wow.
need to do some counseling. If it's a sex offense, you need to go through some therapy here. If it's a property crime, maybe you don't get a job where you're handling money.
Okay.
If it's a people crime, maybe you take anger management.
Okay.
You take classes. So the parole can include any number of things. Maybe you don't get a driver's license because it's your umpteenth DUI. You know what I mean?
Right.
They can do all kinds of things like that.
So here's the story headline that caught my eye, and this is
Right.
a KSL story. Man convicted of Salt Lake murder 20 years ago seeks parole. So in the story that I'm reading, it's Isaiah Voss. He's now 39, and that when he was sentenced for the shooting and killing of a person in 2004, he was convicted of murder and sentenced to a minimum of 6 years and up to life with the possibility of parole. So now it's been 20 years and he has kept his nose clean in prison, which for me, like, I don't even know what that means.
Well, I mean, it's not hard to imagine a person in prison getting in fights. Or let's say you're supposed to get your GED while you're in
Right.
prison and you're supposed to take some classes. And you just think, I'm not doing any of that.
Yeah.
Then you'd go up for your parole hearing and they'd say, you haven't done anything. You got in fights. You haven't got your GED yet.
Okay.
We'll see you in another couple of years. So this person, he's now 39. And he's been in for 20 years, meaning he went in when he was 19. You wouldn't expect a person, even on a murder charge, who went into prison at age 19 to serve life without, unless it's really an awful crime. So yeah, he's eligible for parole. Does that mean he gets it? Well, I don't know. I mean, they're going to look at him, and what he's saying is exactly what you just said. I've done everything I could. I want to work with at-risk youth. I want to be a role model. I want to do some things. I've had no write-ups. I've been, like you said, I kept my nose clean. The parole board's going to look at that because they're going to say their biggest question is this: what risk do we put society in if we let this person out?
Right.
And what better way to figure that out is to look at what they've done for the last 20 years. He's been great. He's essentially been exemplary while he's been in custody. Now, that's not hard to do. Well, maybe it is for some people, but it's a good example of what the person may be able to do on the outside.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I'm seeing in the KSL article is that there was somebody who's a member of the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole who said that even though he's had a year where he hasn't had any disciplinary write-ups, he had many violations, which include new criminal convictions in, I guess, the 19 years ahead of that.
Right.
So
that's not so good. So,
right. I
so
mean,
if
that
you're
would
in prison,
indicate to me, okay, well, is it a year? Is this actually a turnaround? I
right.
mean,
Yeah. A year on a 20-year sentence, you've been good to the last year. Like, well, so have I. That doesn't really count too much.
Could you also tell us about who sits on the Utah Board of Parole and Pardons?
Okay, so there is a board of pardons and parole, but they can't handle what we talked earlier about 3,500 criminals. You know, they're locked up in Utah.
Oh yeah.
And so
6,500.
Yeah, 6,500, and jails and whatnot. So they have people from the legal community. Most of them are lawyers who will sit as ex officio or part-time members of the board, and they'll go hear these. It's out of the prison. I've been to several of them, but you kind of just have to sit there and watch. And they'll bring the inmate in, and they're just individuals who are trained to and they make recommendations to the overall board. And they'll say, hey, this person's done great. I'd really like you to consider releasing him. The family of the victim will be there and say, as what happened in some of these cases we're talking about, no way, this person should never get out. And I've seen families 10, 20, 30, 40 years later who go to the board and say, no, this is not happening. That doesn't mean that it won't happen, but I think that the board will look and listen very carefully to a family, a victim who says, I don't feel like this is the right time.
That was the case with Maureen Hunsaker's family.
Yes.
Right? For almost 40 years, they
Right.
went to all of these parole hearings.
Right. That was
was it parole?
No, his was more of like a commutation. You're talking
Right.
about Ralph Menzies because he was on death row.
That's right.
And they were
But it was still the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole, was it not?
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, interesting that they continued to go to that.
So yeah, we just have that indeterminate sentence, and it's weird because some first-degree felony is 5 to life. So
Yeah.
what does that mean? You know what I mean?
Right.
5 to life.
That's a really broad span.
If you're Isaiah Voss and he got a 6 to life, and he goes
he's
in at
a teenager.
and he goes in at age 19.
Yeah.
6 means he gets out at 25. Life means he serves another 70 years.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a huge difference. And
Yeah,
people think Utah's kind of messed up that we do that. But I kind of like it because it does allow a board to look at how a person does in terms of their own making their life right, showing that they can do things, showing that they will be good on the outside by showing that they were good on the inside.
Yeah. Super interesting. I always learn so much from you. So thank you for that lesson on what happens with probation and parole.
Yeah, so when we come back, we've been watching this yesterday. Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullins' nomination to become the next Homeland Security Secretary in place of Kristi Noem has cleared its first hurdle. He went through, I think, a Senate confirmation hearing yesterday, not without some fireworks.
Was heated.
But when we come back, we'll see what he might do differently than his predecessor.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. A Utah man has been arrested for attempted murder after a woman was found bleeding in a South Salt Lake alley yesterday. According to official documents, a camera in the area caught a man with the victim entering the alley together. Police say they located Jesus Ramirez Padilla nearby, who matched the description and had blood on his clothes. Police say he admitted to doing drugs with the woman and said he had wanted to kill someone that day. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Pentagon wants $200 billion more to support the war in Iran. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has more.
A senior administration official confirms the Pentagon is seeking $200 billion to pay for the war. But Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth told reporters,
I think that number could move, obviously.
It takes money to kill bad guys, he said, and to replenish munitions, too many of which, he said, have been sent to Ukraine.
Ultimately, we think this should be these munitions are better spent in our own interests at this point, and this kind of funding bill is going to ensure that we're properly funded going forward.
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 386 points, the S&P is down 44 points. And the KSL bracket update every 15 minutes brought to you by the Sturm Team Omada. Here's Jason Jones. Jason?
Just getting ready to go to the halftime. TCU, a 15-point lead now over Ohio State. In fact, they just went to halftime. It's 39-24, TCU taking it to Ohio State. This morning, Ohio State's been relatively cold from the floor. Troy against Nebraska at the under 12 TV timeout. It's 13-12, Troy over Nebraska. That's 13 against 4 there. Don't forget, coming up in just a little bit, about a half an hour, it's going to be USF against Louisville. Also later this hour, High Point against Wisconsin. With your KSL bracket update, I'm Jason Jones.
Follow NCAA tournament updates and all other sports updates on KSLSports.com. And coming up, the record-breaking highs are just beginning. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 11:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has been Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Got a high-priced repair bill from another company and you're just not sure about it? Call Whipple. Get a free, no-pressure estimate or bring us their quote for an honest second opinion. Totally free. Whipple Service Champions, Utah's first place for second opinions since 1947. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. 385 855-273-7167.
Only one type of burger. For every pallet. Fries are extra. Large in size. We've got the shakes. Going over the brim.
Hey, this is Chris from JCW's. Put a positive, delicious spin on your day at any one of our 5 locations. In Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, or Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
We'll admit, we've already thrown in the towel on the New Year's resolution.
Yeah, and we made it through dry January. But one healthy new habit we're sticking with is Active Liver from New Nordic. Did you know your liver works around the clock processing food, sugar, alcohol, and everyday toxins? All things that can really impact your health.
That's why daily support matters. Active Liver is designed to help protect normal liver function and support your body's natural detox process.
With trusted ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and artichoke extract, it's gentle enough to take all year long.
No harsh cleanses, no extreme detoxes, just simple daily liver support. We really feel the difference.
Yup, more energy and the peace of mind knowing we can enjoy the good things in life while giving our liver the love it needs.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com. Or you can find it in stores at CVS, Meijer Grocery, Wegmans, and now Active Liver is available at your local GNC.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Here's Cormac Bone.
No major accidents or delays on our freeways and main secondaries all across the Wasatch Front, so it's just the regular slowdowns you see. Eastbound Pioneer Crossing in that construction zone, still a little heavy as you approach Mill Pond Drive. And in Salt Lake County, the 201 freeway seeing some spotty and light delays both directions between 8400 West and 7200 West. With nutrients blended for greener, healthier turf in our local soil, IFA's 4+ Lawn Care program is the ultimate lawn owner power move. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're looking at a record-breaking high today of 81 degrees, and those record-breaking highs continue on Friday and Saturday with highs in the 80s and mostly sunny skies. Right now it is 68 and sunny. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So President Trump has nominated his next purported Homeland Security chief, Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin. His nomination was going through the Senate yesterday. You might remember that Kristi Noem was moved to a different position. And I guess the Trump administration decided there was just too much of what was going on there. But there was some tension yesterday between Mullin and
Rand Paul.
Yeah,
Senator
fellow
Rand
Republican
Paul.
Rand Paul.
And, you know, I just have to say this because we were doing our show and we do have monitors in the studio and we were seeing like some of the fireworks like live.
Right.
It was like Rand Paul was not a happy camper.
No, but ultimately it went through. Here's more from ABC's Jay O'Brien in Washington.
Republican Senator Rand Paul accusing President Trump's nominee for Homeland Security Secretary, his Senate colleague Markwayne Mullin, of having serious anger issues. Paul bringing up his own assault by a neighbor in 2017.
You told the media that I was a freaking snake and that you completely understood why I had been assaulted. I was shocked that you would justify and celebrate this violent assault that caused me so much pain and my family so much pain. I just wonder if someone who applauds violence against their political opponents is the right person to lead an agency that has struggled to accept limits to the proper use of force.
Mullen also asked about the violence surrounding the administration's immigration crackdown, federal officers killing 2 protesters, Renee Good and Alex Preddy.
You, sir, you called Alex Preddy, quote, a deranged individual that came in to cause max damage. Could we expect those kinds of quick responses if you are confirmed as secretary?
No, Senator. Those words probably should have been retracted. I shouldn't have said that, and as secretary, I wouldn't. Sometimes I'm going to make a mistake, and I'll own it. That one, I went out there too fast.
The Oklahoma Republican promising a change of tone at DHS from the tumultuous tenure of Secretary Kristi Noem, including requiring ICE agents obtain warrants signed by a judge before entering a home or business.
It was refreshing to hear him back off and say, I made a mistake. I should have thought about that.
You know what's interesting, though, is even during his time as a senator, he's not exactly known for restraint. He literally was climbing over his desk to get to a witness in the hearing once. So we have with us on the line Cami Mondo, Deseret News congressional correspondent. You're famous, Cami. I see you all over the news. I'm so lucky to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So what you've been following this, you've written it up. What stood out to you about yesterday's hearing?
I think what did stand out to me, aside from the obvious of, the committee chairman, Rand Paul, and him getting into a lot of tense exchanges, was just how different he is trying to set himself apart from his predecessor of Kristi Noem, who obviously set kind of a precedent that Democrats are very uncomfortable with repeating. And so I think a lot of what he said is trying to set apart how he would handle this position, which, did put him in some position to say that he'd be willing to use judicial warrants for arrest, which is something that Democrats have been demanding, but Republican leaders are still kind of not on board with. So there was a lot of interesting stuff there.
So tell us what happened. So he has this confirmation hearing. It gets a little raucous, but then we're told that at least one Democrat voted for him and Rand Paul, a Republican, voted against him, but otherwise it seemed to have followed party lines pretty closely, I think.
Right. So with Rand Paul, basically, we all expected that he would be against his nomination. That is how he voted. He did vote no. But we do have John Fetterman, the always big Democratic question mark that we have. He said that he didn't really see any issues with Markwayne Mullin in this hearing, so he did vote in favor of him. They are close friends here in the Senate, so that wasn't totally unexpected. But it is Fetterman who pushed him across the finish line because a tied vote would have been considered a fail.
What did Mullin say or do yesterday that would have given the Senate some feeling that he's not going to be another Kristi Noem?
There were some areas that he said he would, set apart from Kristi Noem. I mentioned the judicial warrants earlier, but he also mentioned there were some concerns from Democrats that Kristi Noem really wanted to have oversight over certain grant requests over a certain dollar amount. I believe it was $100,000. Democrats were uneasy with that because it kind of gets certain programs for FEMA or other agencies to slow down. He said he would no longer do that kind of thing. So Democrats were really just looking that he would not handle it the same way that Kristi Noem would. So there were just different areas like that he was trying to set himself apart.
So talk to us about the warrants, because that feels like it has really been a big deal, because we learned on this show the difference between judicial, I learned, Greg already knew, between judicial and administrative warrants, right? So is he committing to going to a judge, and are we looking at a change in trying to round up, quote, the worst of the worst, or are we still looking at filling these quotas of 3,000 a day?
Right. So the commitment that he gave in the hearing is saying that if he was secretary, the policy that he would follow is that you would need those judicial warrants if you were trying to, carry out an arrest in homes or place of business. He had the exception that, if they are actively pursuing somebody and that person goes in, then the warrant wouldn't be needed. That was a commitment he gave, and that is one of the main demands that Democrats have been asking for in these ICE negotiations. But as I've asked a couple of Democrats since then, they're still saying that a commitment in a confirmation hearing is not enough. You need it written into legislation. That's something the White House and Republican leaders have not done yet. And so even though it is something that he's saying would be common sense, it's not clear if that's actually a policy that could be enacted under his leadership.
So, Cammie, can you tell us what the Senate decided yesterday and where this nomination now sits for him to be appointed as that successor to Kristi Noem?
Right. So he did advance through the Homeland Security Committee this morning in that 8-7 vote, so a narrow confirmation there. And so Senate Majority Leader Soon is saying he could set up a vote as early as this weekend or first thing next week. He wants to get this through as quickly as possible to get it through by the end of the month, like President Trump wanted, especially as the department is still shut down. So we could see his full confirmation as early as next week.
So I just have maybe a strange question. I thought the Senate was discussing the Save America Act and they can't talk about anything else, but I must be wrong on that. Tell me how that works.
It's a great question and something they are still, I think, actively figuring out. You know, with the Save America Act, they are in a constant debate period right now where only, those kinds of things can be talked about. But as we saw last night, they did vote on a war powers resolution because it was privileged they're able to bring it up. Soon's kind of indicated that because this is an easy, simple majority thing, that they could still bring it up in between speeches. Of course, we don't know where we will be at with the Save America Act by the time we get to this next week. And so it is all just a big question on procedure because it is something they've never done before.
All right. Thanks so much. That was Cammie Mondo, Deseret News congressional correspondent. And when we come back, we're going to revisit what we can do to save water. We had lots of comments come in on texting, but we saw a new poll from Deseret News say 44% of Utahns are taking shorter showers. And we also heard from one of our guests that ripping out your lawn might actually help you save more. Mm-hmm. We'll be right back. Oh, you know what? It's time for a KSL bracket update. Every 15 minutes, brought to you by the Sturm Pune Armada. Here's Jason Jones live from the KSL 24-hour news center.
So I heard this morning that the chances of picking a perfect bracket are 1 in 9.2 quintillion. Unless Ohio State makes a big comeback in the second half, I will not be the one this time. Because they are losing currently to TCU at the half, 39-24. It's a 15-point lead for those of you who are math challenged. Nebraska right now with a 27-19 lead over Troy. About 6 minutes left in that game there. Just about to tip off. It's USF and Louisville. That comes your way at the bottom of the hour. With your KSL bracket update, I'm Jason Jones.
Imagine all that could happen in 5 years. Jobs change, kids grow up, new memes come and go. But what if you had reliable, intelligent Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Well, thanks to the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to your devices that need the most, that finds and fixes any issues before you even notice. It's like a super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. You get incredible gaming speeds on multiple devices and no one battling for bandwidth. For the next 5 years, all your devices will be working in perfect harmony with the equipment, with no annual contracts, no fees, and no strings. So even though your kid will grow up and you still won't understand 6, 7, the price for your sharp, reliable internet will stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Select plans only.
If you've saved more than $300,000, there's one thing you can do now that can make your savings go twice as far in retirement, and it's tax planning. That's right. Tax planning could significantly reduce the taxes on your IRA and 401k withdrawals, Social Security benefits, and other investment income. Find out how much money you could save with a free retirement tax savings analysis from the good people at Boss Retirement Solutions. To schedule your free analysis, call 801-896-9622. Tax planning for retirement could reduce your taxes not just for 1 year, but for the rest of your life. And the savings could be 6 figures. Let's find out how much money you could save. Call 801-896-9622. 801-896-9622.
For informational purposes only, actual results may vary. No statement contained herein shall constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors and SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Will?
When I was 50, my whole life fell apart. I lost my job, I lost my wife, I lost the house, I lost pretty much everything except for my life. When the IRS came calling, I just didn't have it in me. I felt like Wile E. Coyote, just waiting for that IRS anvil to drop.
Then Will found Tax Relief Advocates.
I heard their advertisement on the radio, I wrote down the number, and I made the call that changed everything. The IRS gave me a bill for $40,000. Tax Relief Advocates got that down to $3,200. I've paid 9 cents on the dollar. Now that's a great deal in anybody's book.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Will did and call TRA for a consultation.
But for me, the real win is I got my life back.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-488-2578. 800-488-2578. That's 800-488-2578.
It was opening night at Hale Center Theater for The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Victor Hugo's classic tale. I was with my son, Ian, and it was nothing short of spectacular. The staging, the costuming, the music, it's simply breathtaking. And, of course, the actors and the voices. You have to see The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's on the main stage right now at Hale Center Theater. So many of the scenes are never to be forgotten. For example, when Frollo is just struggling with his passion for Esmeralda and his soul, the flames and the tension on the stage is unbelievable. And to see the Hunchback up in the tower with the bells, don't miss Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's underway right now at Hale Center Theater. And continuing, Peter Pan Goes Wrong. That's on the Jewel Box stage and Hallmarked on the Beehive stage. Get your tickets now. hct.org. Don't miss the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
The new Inside Sources.
It is the heat of the moment and the heat of the week. We're almost to 70 degrees today with a high expected to be in the low 80s or at least breaching 80, which would be a record for the month of March.
A record. So, look, we're already talking about water, and it feels like this is the month. In fact, I just talked with Matt Johnson, and he said this should be the month where we're getting the most snow in the mountains. It's dry, it's hot, and so we're already talking about conserving water.
People don't realize that because we think of the snow season as December, January. March is the biggest snow month, and even leading into March, February is a big month for snow. So people are like, "Oh, we don't have anything at Christmas." And it's always like, "Wait, we'll get it.
And
well, this year we didn't.
Well, so look, we were talking about conserving water earlier in the show, and people can still text us, or you can call us even. It's 801-575-TALK, or you can text us at 57500. But the Deseret News and Hinckley Institute of Politics just did a poll to talk to Utahns about what they're willing to do or not do to save water, and we talked about that earlier. So 59% of Utahns agree to water their lawn less to save water. And I think one of the things that we have seen in our texters is that they have replaced grass. And in fact, that is one of the things that Kelly Good told us earlier. She was with the Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District, and she said one of the main things you can do is replace your grass.
I don't see that here.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that in just a minute. But we do have several texters who have said that they took out their front lawn and have replaced it.
I found Kelly Good.
Okay.
Here we go. I'm sorry.
Kelly.
You're ahead of me. You're as usual.
The best thing to do, and I realize it's a big ask, is to replace some or all of your lawn with water-efficient landscaping. As Greg mentioned, most of our water is used outside, whether you're growing alfalfa or lawn, and in the Salt Lake Valley, we're growing lawn, and it doesn't really need to be grown. And so what we're asking people to do is think about areas where they're not using their lawn and convert that to water-efficient landscaping.
We also asked her about golf courses because you mentioned this during the break.
Well, there's a texture, and there's multiple now that are saying get rid of the dumb golf courses.
Yeah.
Well, we would certainly like to see everybody do what they can. We can't, as a water district, really control what a golf course can do. We just ask for that. And really it's up to your cities to enforce watering restrictions if they have them and talk to those business owners to see what can be done.
I was surprised that a water district couldn't impose restrictions on a golf course, but it had to go through the city or the municipality. I mean, I guess rules is rules, and who makes those and who enforces those. I assume the water district had a lot to do with that.
Well, we learn new things every day, don't we? So, look, we also asked this question on social media, and we have quite a few comments there, and some of them have to do with development and the conflict between the water needs of our state currently and the goal to have tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands new homes in the next several decades. But 25,000 new homes, something I think by 2030, which is 4 years away, right? And people are saying, look, we have to take these into account. Why are politicians saying we need to build, but we don't have enough water right now?
Right.
And we're talking about flushing the toilet less often.
Right. And we talked about ways to save water. The majority of Utahns, 59%, think that one way to do that is by watering your lawn less. You know what the second most popular way to save water?
I don't know.
Splish splash, I was taking a bath.
Take a shorter shower. 44% of respondents say that they would take shorter showers because of the low water level. So that's something that people could do. And I think everybody could take a shorter shower generally.
I have a question. I don't know if you know the answer to this. Do you use less water when you take a bath versus a shower?
I think you use substantially more water with a bath.
I don't know, actually. But we do have a couple of texters who say that they actually will reuse bath water, and several who said
what?
So for example, if you take a bath as a parent, your kid can come swim in the bathtub. They think it's pretty fun.
Okay, just so I go first, I'm fine with
That's
that.
right.
Yeah.
It's not the wild west. But several texters told us that they put buckets in their shower to catch that early water as it starts to warm up, and then they will use that to water plants outside. That's really
genius.
going the extra mile, in my opinion. That's really going the extra mile.
Yeah, we have a system where the water preheats at a certain time of day, but when we went back to daylight savings time, I'm now off by an hour, so I take cold showers in the morning. I got to reset the clock.
That doesn't sound fun.
No.
So we also had 47% in the Deseret News poll. They washed their cars less frequently.
That's a good excuse for having a dirty car.
Yeah.
I'm trying to save water.
Right. We also had people talk about whether they were willing to flush the toilet less frequently, and 23% in the poll said that they've already made that change. That's about a fourth. And in our texters, it is more than that who have said, just let it sit for a while. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that.
I don't know. I think if my wife walked in the bathroom and saw that I had flush, she'd say, Greg, what are you doing?
So we have somebody, a listener who says, as a golfer, I resent the get rid of the golf course comment. I'm just saying other texters said that. It's not my point of view, but people do have concerns about that.
I golf once in a while too, and it is fun, and it is sort of enhances it when you're playing on a beautiful golf course. But there's a cost to that. There's a tremendous cost to that with the water community.
You know what's interesting, too, is we're talking about watering lawns and watering them less often, maybe taking it out, doing some xeriscaping. One of the things that I have heard consistently about water conservation is we are watering our lawns too often, that we do it too often and we don't do it for long enough periods of time, and so the grass doesn't actually make the really deep roots that it needs. So we have several texters that are saying, I only water, in fact, this one says I only water once a week, and that they are using some soil enhancers to hold the moisture better. And last year they said they were able to go 10 days between waterings and their grass looked as good as people across the street. Somebody else, one of our other commenters, this one was on Facebook, said that they were, the last time we had enforced water restrictions, that they were told, let your lawns go brown. And then they got a citation for having a brown lawn. And they're like, fine, if you don't care, then I'm not going to care.
Well, they're now marketing certain brands of lawn seed that are made for a more arid environment. You know, they'll live with less and less and less water. So although replacing your entire lawn has got to be expensive, but you can probably, if you're starting over, plant the seed that doesn't need as much water.
Well, and that's with the grass too. But we also have, the parking strips that just have. They've got grass there. They don't necessarily have to have grass. There are places where we don't need to have that grass, right?
Yeah, fill those with rock.
Yeah.
Or fill those with something that doesn't require, or go to a drip system.
A
That's
drip
another
system.
way that works a lot of sense.
That's right. We've got another one that says, in theory, so tankless water heaters, they're saying remove the tankless water heaters because it takes more water to get hot water to your faucet. And my question back was really, and they said what happens is these water heaters use coils to heat up the water, and then it has to flow through the coils to get hot and then out of the water heater to the faucet, which takes slightly more water than a normal tank water heater.
Although I would say this, if you're in a house that it takes a while for the water to get hot, you wasted a lot of water in the shower.
I know.
The tankless is almost immediately hot water.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I agree with that.
I lived in one house, and this was I don't know, 35 years ago. It's been a while. But we had water heating the floor. And I loved that in the winter so much because my floors were always warm.
Oh, yeah.
So it
Yeah,
circulated,
you had the pipes that went
right?
through
It
the floor.
circulated
Right.
through the floor. That was how our heat was through water. So really interesting comments. And look, we have this too, and I think this is always wise. Even if people restricted their residential water use by 50%, it still makes less than a 1% difference to the overall water situation. So we still have a big conversation about, I don't know if the percentages are exactly right, but we have a conversation about agriculture every time we talk about water conservation. And I know that the state has done a lot, at least legislatively, trying to incentivize, trying to use the carrot rather than stick, upgrading systems so that there's a lot more precise watering than the scattershot kind of that we have right now. But that's a lot of what we've got going on right now in the state of Utah, getting ready to conserve, and it's the middle of March.
And I think we need to think about it right now. And I wouldn't blame some jurisdictions if they said mandatory
Just start it now.
back,
Yeah,
or
start it
making
now.
it so expensive.
All right, we're going to be back with more inside sources in just a minute.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. And it is breaking news. 3 people were arrested during last night's protest over ICE's purchase of a warehouse in Salt Lake City. Toward the end of the protest, police say there was a group of people throwing rocks at windows and someone spray painted a crossed out swastika. 18-year-old Chase Fredrickson was taken into custody for property damage after police say he was caught on camera throwing rocks. 2 minors were arrested as well. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. More strikes today on energy facilities across the Middle East. The latest one targeted a refinery in northern Israel. ABC News foreign correspondent Tom Sufi-Borage is in Jerusalem with details.
It is being widely reported in the Israeli media that the largest oil refinery in the country, up in Haifa, has been hit. And that follows, of course, a range of strikes right across the Middle East, on those Gulf countries by Iran, on the United Arab Emirates, on oil and gas facilities in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia. And obviously that follows Israel's strike on that major oil field in Iran.
The Pentagon is now requesting $200 billion to support the war in Iran. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 360 points. The S&P is down 44 points. The KSL bracket update every 15 minutes brought to you by the Stern Team Omada. Here's Jason Jones. Jason?
Ohio State is trying to make a game out of it at the under-16 TV timeout. They've cut the lead by 2. It's 41-28 now. They're down by 13. At the half out of the South region, it is Nebraska 41, Troy 23. Nice big lead there for Nebraska at the half, looking for their first NCAA tournament win ever in the history of their program. Just about to tip off out of the East region as well. It's USF against Louisville. With your KSL bracket update, I'm Jason Jones.
Follow NCAA tournament updates and all other sport updates on KSLSports.com. And coming up, sunny skies and 80s. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Amanda, I've got a cruise planned in a couple of months, and I was thinking about the other people who may have cruises planned coming up a few months from now, and why right now would be the best time for them to begin their weight loss journey on Soda Weight Loss.
If you started right now, you could lose 20, 30, 40 pounds before June.
That's right.
I lost 37 pounds in 3 months, 3.5 years ago. And the beauty about soda is it's not a quick fix. This is learning that is going to last you the rest of your life and help you be healthy.
Your clothes fit better. Your energy comes back. You don't get winded going upstairs.
Yeah.
Things that maybe you don't even realize. When I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, it felt like a transformation.
You learn what works for your body so you don't get addicted to shots or drugs. You just work with a nutritionist who's going to teach you how to keep the weight off for a lifetime.
Right now, you should go check out sodaweightloss.com, see all the thousands of before and after pictures, or speak with a nutritionist by giving a call 866-800-SODA.
Soda Weight Loss. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
This weekly tax tip is brought to you by the Utah Association of Certified Public Accountants. Here's CEO Susan Spears.
One fast-growing tax scam right now involves identity theft, when criminals file fake tax returns or access benefits using your information. That's where ID.me comes in. ID.me helps protect taxpayers like you by making sure the person using the IRS's online services is actually you. It uses identity verification, like your ID and a selfie, to stop fraudsters from accessing your tax information or government benefits in your name. Once your identity is verified, you can safely access IRS tools, review your tax information, and it can also help someone else from filing a phony tax return under your name.
Get the most out of your income tax preparation when you hire a licensed CPA. Visit uacpa.org to find a CPA that's right for you. And check out new tax tip videos by following on social media at Talk to Your CPA.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
We did have a crash on northbound I-15's collector ramp at 7200 West. That has since cleared out, and so have the delays. So once again, a problem-free drive, calm, but both directions between Santaquin and Brigham City on I-15. We do still have some eastbound delays on Pioneer Crossing in Lehigh, a little heavier as you try to get onto I-15. That starts near 7800 West. And in South Jordan, we have some eastbound delays on 114th South approaching Redwood Road. With Whipple Service Champions is Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. And they're your first choice for offering honest second opinions. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll see highs reach 80 degrees today. We're expecting to make a new record high. We'll see 80s in the valley tomorrow and Saturday as well. Things cool down a bit on Sunday to 73 degrees. Right now it is 72 and sunny. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Early in my legal career, my wife had posted this thing on our refrigerator, Holly, a quote from a judge. Now, this was in the early 80s that said, I don't think women should be lawyers.
Oh.
And in the early 80s, of course, a lot of women weren't lawyers. But there are careers for which that gender disparity is not really prevalent anymore. And I would say the legal community and medical community, there are a lot of groups that have really balanced things. If you look at Utah's judiciary, I think it's pretty close to 50-50. You look at Utah's legal community, it's probably 55-45. Anyway, it's really close because what we learned is that women make every bit as good a lawyer and judge as a man does.
Yes, of course they do. So the month of March is Women's History Month, and we know that women are playing a bigger role in shaping today's construction industry, which is one of the areas where I would think it's still maybe skewed.
Right.
So we have with us Janae Thomas Watson. She's a senior project manager with Big D Construction. Thanks for joining us, Janae.
Oh, hi, Holly, Greg. You're welcome. I'm happy to be here, and it's great to talk about something I'm incredibly passionate about.
That is so great. How common is it for women to work in construction, especially in Utah?
Oh, gosh. I mean, we're an anomaly. You walk around on the job site and you see someone with a blonde ponytail, and you kind of have to do a double take because not many people have, long blonde ponytails on sites anymore. So there's definitely a part of us that stand out and a part of us that, work behind the scenes, but it's incredibly uncommon to see us in the field and on site. But because of that, I will say that we have an edge. We have a noticeability about us where people say, hey, who's that? What are they doing here? And I've had people on site ask me that, and it's kind of nice to connect with people that way.
What's been the reception by men, especially senior men who have had a history of not working with very many women? Have they been more and more receptive, or is people still more standoffish, or maybe some of both?
I think the perception of folks that are standoffish is less and less. I would say they're champions for sure, and most people are curious. Most people are curious of like, hey, how did you get into construction? What was your path here? Because it is kind of a little bit of a different career path for women, and so you get a lot of people that are just curious about it. And honestly, some of my best allies and cheerleaders are a lot of the guys that support me in my role. I can think of my senior superintendent on one of my projects right now is just constantly rooting for me along with my director. And that's neat to see. I really enjoy that. I like the camaraderie that I find in that kind of setting.
Janae, you brought up something in that answer right there that I have to ask. How did you get involved in the construction industry?
Oh, gosh. That's such a great question. So my dad was an electrical engineer, and as little kids, he would work 60 hours a week. And one way he found to spend time with us is to take us to work. And so we would go up to Research Park, was where his office was, next to the old military cemetery. And he would spend Saturdays working and set us up in a cubicle, and I'd have my crafts and things. And then he would be intentional and say, let's go have lunch, in this gorgeous cemetery. And I remember him saying, like, hey, I need you to organize our catalog library, or here's some drawings that you can color on. And that was my first introduction. And then he would take us out to his job sites when we would do family vacations. Like, that was part of what he grew up in, so it was part of what I grew up in. I grew up in a family of all boys, and so we were kind of out doing things. And so for me, it was a natural fit that came later in life. My first degree is in fashion design, and I was in that world for so long, and then OA hit, and I pivoted and went back to school as a single mom with 2 kids in 2016. And so Here I am in the industry, and it's been a great fit.
Janae, what could companies like yours, and Big D is a huge company, do to make sure that women know they are invited to participate, not necessarily to recruit women, but to just make sure that people know that it's not a man's only profession?
Yeah, so I think about this often because I have 2 small girls, not quite small, but younger. And how do they know that they're invited to something, right? What do we do that kind of portrays that everyone is welcomed? And I often think back to Rosie the Riveter, right? She was an iconic image in the 40s that gave women a calling, and we responded to that, and for good reason, right? There was purpose behind that calling. but the marketing there was that you can do this, right? So we told women in the 40s that they can do this, and I think that same model applies to today, that we've eliminated barriers that like, hey, you're not going to be swinging a hammer, but you're going to be signing paperwork. So like, you can do this. And I would love to see more of that in our industry. I would love to see me, you know, in the image that people broadcast with what construction looks like. And that's different. That's new, right? We've not done that before. So it's going to be an interesting turn of events when that starts to happen more and more.
Are there any programs out there right now that can help women get started in the construction industry? Like, should they go take certain classes, or what's the best entry into construction?
Holly, such a great question. So I worked with Weber State in developing that pathway for a really long time, just to get people in general interested into construction. I would say my daughter, she's a sophomore, and there's what's called CTE coursework in high school, which is concurrent enrollment. It's putting kids also into kind of more of a technical kind of class. You and I would have called it, you know, like a trade center. And so getting kids involved at that level, and especially, you know, our girls at that level, it makes them feel like, well, of course I can weld. Like, there's a welding class at the high school. Like, of course I can take that class. And then you start them kind of on that path of like, well, of course you can do this. And then you get them into maybe a trades, or you get them into kind of like a business course. And then you have them go to a university setting if that's their path, or you introduce them into a trade in the field, which is both are incredibly lucrative. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand, is how successful construction is for everyone's bottom line.
Janae, we've only got about a minute left, but if you were speaking to a group of high school females and they were asking, why should we consider a career in construction, what would you tell them?
Oh my gosh. So many things in less than a minute. Okay. I would say, first and foremost, you're going to have financial security for the rest of your life. People need two things: food and shelter. You will always have a job in construction. There's always a need for it. And because you're, maybe more of a detail-oriented person, that will be seen and recognized, and that demand will just continue to grow for people that can respond to that need in construction. And so I would tell women that, like, of course, there's a place for you here. Of course, like, this is a job that you can do, and it rewards really well.
Good answer. Janae, thank you so much. That was Janae Thomas-Watson, Senior Project Manager for Big D Construction. And when we come back, we're going to do our fun facts and closing arguments. But first, it's time for a KSL bracket update every 15 minutes, brought to you by the Stern Team, Omada. Here's Jason Jones live. Do we have our Big 12 team in the moving on yet?
Not yet. Nobody's moved on yet. Ohio State is making a game out of it. They truly are. They had it cut to 3 points just a minute ago. It's now 6 points again. TCU over Ohio State at the under 12 TV timeout there. But definitely a good comeback there by Ohio State. I misspoke earlier. Nebraska over Troy 41-25, not 23 at the half. It's still a 16-point lead. And right now I'm watching Louisville against South Florida. That's a 6 seed against an 11 seed. It's 11-9 early in the game. Louisville over South Florida. With your KSL bracket update, I'm Jason Jones.
Interest rates have gone up for buying a home, but not for remodeling the exterior of your home. This week only at RGS Exteriors, it's our zero interest financing sale. That's right, 0% interest on any gutters, siding, windows, or any exterior remodeling project on your home. We have programs for 12, 18, and 24 months, all with 0% financing. But the sale is this week only at RGS Exteriors. Want stunning James Hardy siding? 0%. Need to replace your windows? 0%. New gutters or gutter covers? 0%. How about a full extreme makeover? That's right, 0%. We've also been serving Utah for 5 generations, so you can trust us to do the job right. All work is backed by our exclusive 10-year everything guarantee for total peace of mind. And this week only, everything is available for 0% financing with approved credit. Don't put off your new exterior project any longer. As always, estimates are free, so call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Looking for a unique Monday activity for the family? Step aboard Titanic, the exhibition, located at the shops at Southtown and Sandy. Every Monday through April 1st, enjoy Titanic Family Days. Kids can enjoy a thrilling scavenger hunt and make their very own Morse code bracelets. Book your cashless tickets today at thetitanicexhibition.com. Use promo code FamilyDays20 to save 20%. That's thetitanicexhibition.com.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. For the past 8 years, Wasatch Security Awareness has partnered with organizations across the Wasatch Front, helping them better understand cybersecurity risks and emerging technologies like artificial intelligence. Owner Matt Groves joins us with more.
Most business risk today has very little to do with technology and everything to do with people. At Wasatch Security Awareness, that's exactly where we focus, because most problems don't start with broken systems, they start with the everyday choices people make at work. That's why we provide customized cybersecurity testing and live training. Real conversations with real people, not just another video everyone clicks through. When people can ask questions and see how threats show up in their day-to-day work, the lessons stick and behavior starts to change. We also help organizations make sense of artificial intelligence. Our AI literacy training helps teams safely implement AI into the workflows they already use, saving time, improving efficiency, and supporting better decisions. For Utah businesses, awareness isn't just about reducing risk, it's about building stronger, more resilient teams. The organizations that thrive tomorrow will be the ones who prepare their people today.
Wasatch Security Awareness continues helping Utah businesses navigate cybersecurity challenges, stay informed on emerging technologies, and reduce risk through education and awareness. Learn more about their work and resources at wasatchsecurityawareness.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Inside Sources.
It is March 19th. We're at the end of our show, so I do have some fun facts. And before I get to the on this day, I wanted to share the fact that Girl Scout cookies are on sale now, and you can find them outside your stores.
Yum.
They're so cute. They go and sell, right? And nowadays they'll take Venmo, and you don't have to pay in cash. And I see them outside our local Walmart, and we always have to do them. And it's interesting because you can find other cookies that are similar, but nothing is as good as Girl Scout cookies. They're just not.
I don't know what it is about it. I don't even know what they're called. They're chocolate. They're small, but I freeze them.
Would that be the Thin Mints?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
those
Thin
are so
Mints.
good frozen.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yep. And I'm not a big fan of chocolate and mint together unless it's Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah.
So my daughter even has on her door, I think, one of those signs that says, no solicitors unless you're selling Girl Scout cookies. Right?
Although my favorite ice cream is mint chocolate chip, so I can live with it too.
But you know what? I like the ice cream that puts chunks of Girl Scout cookies in the ice cream. I'll eat that. I don't like mint chocolate chip otherwise. Okay, so that's one fun news fact. There's another fact, and maybe we'll talk about this on our show at a different time, but the World Happiness Report has come out every year. It's published by the University of Oxford, and for 9 years running, Finland is the happiest country in the world. We're way down. Like we're not very high.
Well, and where are we? Way down?
I'm trying to
look.
look.
We're probably not even in the top 10.
I don't think we are. But one of the things that they noticed, especially with this one, they also work with Gallup, but one of the things they noticed really that was very striking to the researchers this year are the young people who are on social media a lot. They're seeing a really big, noticeable, measurable drop in happiness for young people, especially teenage girls, especially concerning. And that's what they're just saying. The U.S. is 23rd, Canada's 25, Britain 29, but they're really concerned about what they're seeing with the impacts on happiness and younger generations.
Surprised we're happier than Canada. Seriously.
Maybe we don't like the cold as much. I don't know.
So, yeah.
Okay, so today is National Backyard Day, which we've had this conversation about backyards and whether you should even have grass or, put edible landscaping in your backyard. That's a thing too, right? So I'll tell you somebody who has a really great backyard that doesn't have a lot of grass, and that's Senator John Curtis. He actually has. He does. He lives in Provo. He has an acre in his backyard, and I have an acre, and I have grass, and it is such a pain. It's hard with the water. It's hard to keep up with the mowing. He and his wife, I think Sue designed it, but really have this nice backyard where they have gravel paths and they have eating areas and a sitting area, and they do have a little bit of grass, but it's not a lot. I mean, so shout out to Senator John Curtis for a good job in his backyard.
We have dogs, and so I still think we need a little grass.
Yeah. I mean, most people are not asking that you get rid of it all.
Right.
So, okay, I have to say on this day, so March 19th, it's Senator John Johnson's birthday today, so happy birthday to Senator Johnson. It is also the birthday of William Bradford. He was born on this day in 1589. Does that name ring a bell to you?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, he is the governor of the Plymouth colony.
Oh.
So for 30 years, he was governor. And this is my fun fact. He's the 11th great-grandfather of Utah's Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson. So
Seriously?
William Bradford, yeah.
Wow.
Happy birthday to Governor Bradford. And he has this really great quote, and I included it in my newsletter today. All great and honorable actions are accompanied with great difficulties, and both must be enterprised and overcome with answerable courage. And I have heard the Lieutenant Governor give a speech using that phrase, answerable courage. Right? It's really great.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And then on this day,
that name.
On this day in 1931, Nevada legalized gambling. So you mentioned to me during the break that you thought they had it before. Yes, but not legal.
Okay, right. They just legalized it. Yeah, gambling's existed since mankind.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay, it was on this day in 1964 that Geraldine Mock departed from Columbus, Ohio. So I had to learn about this at Women's History Month, right? She left in a single-engine Cessna that was christened the Spirit of Columbus, and she earned the nickname the Flying Housewife because that was really her role, as she was a stay-at-home mom. She became the first woman to fly around the world solo when she returned to Columbus on April 17th, 1964. So she left March 19th, landed back at home April 17th, and she was the Flying Housewife.
Yeah, wow. I don't even remember that story at all.
It's interesting, right? So she left in 1964, so that would have been, 62 years ago that this woman flew around the world.
Wow, good for her.
Yeah. Okay, and then I have one more. Actually, I have two more. 1979, C-SPAN launched. So, C-SPAN, where you can see live from the House of Representatives. I did not know that it launched in 1979. I was thinking maybe the 90s.
Oh,
no,
right.
It's been around since the late 1970s.
It just wasn't that interesting before. There's a lot more fireworks.
Interesting now.
Right.
And then on this day in 2003, the war in Iraq began. So that's my final fun fact of the day.
Bad anniversary, and now we're next door in Iran.
I know.
Well, I just have to say this.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything
It is
better than
Women's History Month, and I sort of tweaked my closing arguments in light of that last. Okay, we got it. Janae Thomas Watson, Senior Project Manager, Big D Construction, talked to us about women in the construction industry, and it got me thinking: are there really any fields anymore that women can't participate? And the answer is probably no. I mean, you have women who are in construction, women who are welding, truck driving, public safety. More and more women are entering law enforcement fields.
There are female fighter pilots now.
Yep, firefighters, fighter pilots. I mean, there is nothing in this day and age that you can say a woman can't do as well as a man. And I think that shows a lot, because it wasn't that way when I started practicing law.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, mostly a male-dominated industry for no good reason. For no good reason. You know what I mean? And I think that what we've done, especially in this country, you look at other countries who don't allow women to do certain things. We don't do that in this country. I mean, I think there are, and so and you know what else that really intrigued me about Janae? She said, if I was talking to a group of young women who were concerned about going into the construction trade, what I would tell them is, and this was the best answer: you make some money.
Yeah.
You're going to do pretty well, and you're always going to have a job, because
Always.
there's always something going on.
Yeah.
So I would encourage more women to consider those kind of trades, the things that they hadn't done in the past. Welding. I mean, I've got a guy that has a big construction company. He says, we cannot find welders, but we'll pay them anything. We'll pay a boatload.
Wow.
Women, consider fields like that. Truck driving, like I said, consider fields like that. There's nothing you can't do if you're a woman, and there's nothing you can't do better. Or at least as
I think
well
it
as
was
a man.
Ginger Rogers who said she had to do everything Fred Astaire did backwards and in heels.
Right, yeah.
So.
Or someone else that said the problem is women have to do things twice as good as a man, but that's not too hard. So,
well, thanks for the shout out. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, when we come back, Maria Shilaos will join us. Protests unfolded outside Salt Lake City's Future